everybody. Welcome to yet another new episode of the New to Retro Review podcast. This is episode 6, and this entire podcast will be dedicated to one of my favorite things in my life, and that is Power Rangers. And technically, we have a Power Ranger here on the show. It's my good buddy Logan, who is a actor, and he is on the show from YouTube called Power Rangers Unworthy. So, Logan, take it from here. Say hi to everybody.
What's up, guys? My name is Logan Raposo, professional actor out of Boston, Massachusetts. I am the Chrono Ranger on Power Rangers Unworthy, and I'm happy to be here.
You heard him, folks. He's happy to be here. All right. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
It's great talking to you guys. See you later.
So, Logan is actually a good buddy of mine. For all of you who follow me with my photography, you probably know him best as Vega and Spike Spiegel from the shoots I've done in the past with him, and it's been like over a year of friendship now, right, dude? Because we met at
it's been about 2 years. I feel like I think we connected. It's about a year and a half, maybe around a little bit more, but yeah, it's around that.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, you, me, and Gladys started working together at Anime Boston 2018, wasn't it?
2019, but
was it 2019?
Yeah, it was 2019. We did I did Spike, Brago. Who the fuck? I didn't do the third shoot with you, but I did 2 shoots with you. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's right. It was that. Okay, so yeah. Guys, you'll see I'll put photos here on the screen, stuff like that, and everything, and obviously the links to Logan's pages so you can go see him and shit like that. But holy shit, guys, this dude is the real life Spike Spiegel, and he was pretty much knighted by Spike Spiegel himself, Steve Bloom. Tell him about that one, dude. Tell him about that.
Oh man, so me, Tony, we did a shoot outside of the convention center at Anime Boston, and we did a few shots, some action shots, some poses and everything. Me jumping an entire flight of stairs while Tony was like, "Are you sure about this?"
Oh yeah, and mind you guys, Logan is 6'4", so he like I said, he is Spike Spiegel.
But so we were doing the iconic spike kick that's in the intro and everything, and Tony was definitely a great coach with that. He definitely helped me nail it. Once we nailed it, we knew it was going to be good. I mean, it went semi-viral, at least on mine. I mean, that was it's still the most liked picture, minus the Unworthy post that I made about me becoming Chrono Ranger.
Oh, right, yeah.
Still, my cosplay one, that's still my piece de resistance right there. And when I met Steve Bloom, I knew that he retweeted it. So, I mean, I obviously wanted to bring it up, just be like, hey, thank you so much for just acknowledging it. And he's like, oh, I remember you now. It's like, you were the guy. You were the one who did the iconic kick. And I was like, holy shit, he remembers me. Yeah. And he's like, dude, that was so cool. And I was like, this is everything to me. Tony, I think I was messaging you at the time. I was like, I'm just pacing around the Boston Convention Center. I'm just like a child that lived his dream.
Yeah, that was a huge thing, because that was also that was the year that he was also there with his wife, who played Julia in. They weren't. I don't think that. Yeah, they weren't dating then, but they're married now or whatever. So that was I was so bummed out I didn't go meet them. I was so packed that weekend with photo shoots, I could not step away to go meet any actors. But yeah, guys, when that post went viral for Logan, it actually went pretty good on mine too, because I got that photo out there really quick. When I got home, whenever I end a convention, I get right home, right quick. I'll edit a few shots for people, send them out there so they can put them on their Instagrams, and because people are always looking for what they missed at Anime Boston or any conventions. So that's the time to post, is either during the convention or slightly after, a day or two at the convention. When the convention ends, people have time to look around, and that's why I think one of the reasons why it blew up so much, and the fact that we did tag Steve Bloom in it. He did see it and liked it, which, because of how the algorithms work, when somebody who's really popular or has a lot of a big following, it kind of tricks, or not tricks it, but kind of opens the gate that that Instagram uses to block you. And your post blew up. One of mine kind of blew up too, but not nearly as much. I think dude, what was it how much did you have on that?
Oh, it was around 450, I think, or something like that. It still rises almost a little bit here and there, because when people follow me, that's when they scroll down, they'll see it right away and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think too, there's another factor into it. 476 actually right now. Excuse me.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So 476 likes. I think it was also because I think that was the anniversary of Bebop. It was just.
Was it the 20th?
Live action? Maybe it was the live action that was coming out too. Like,
Oh
there's a lot of little
yeah,
factors that went into it.
that's right. Yeah, that's what it was. Because it wasn't. I don't think it was the 20th anniversary at that point. I think it was. Yeah, it was the live action. Because I think I remember. I think it's the 20th anniversary. It was the year prior, I believe. And I did that shoot for Brittany and her friend Martha, where they did a Julia and a gender bend Spike, and we shot in that cool, the same place I shot your Spike, the little hotel bar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
love that shoot.
Yeah, like
So,
yeah, like that was so cool. And anything, yeah. So like I said, guys, like if I remember to, obviously I'll be going through and editing this. I'll throw like the pictures up from the shoot so you guys can like see the magic from that shoot. But yeah. So but yeah, like obviously we're talking about a lot of cosplay stuff. But so yeah, the big reason I wanted to do a Power Rangers one is because there's a lot of things happening with Power Rangers in general, like a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of good things that have come out in the resurrection of Power Rangers over these last, like, I want to say probably about 7-8 years. And so first off, there is a series out there, like a web series that we talked about a little bit earlier, called Power Rangers Unworthy. And it's kind of like everything a lot of Power Ranger fans have wanted. They wanted like a darker storytelling, kind of like what we used to get with like Power Rangers in Space and Time Force, and even with like a little bit of Dino Thunder. And that's something that Logan and I have always liked, and obviously now Logan is a part of the show. So, dude, why don't you take this part and tell them about it?
sure. So, Power Rangers Unworthy is a darker alternate universe of the Power Rangers universe. It does follow the Rangers from, say, the Mighty Morphin era. They're a little bit like, it's not like, say, like the original team or the second season. It's kind of like a mix of the two when we start out. Like, they'll have Rocky, Adam, but they'll still have Kimberly, Billy, and Trini and Tommy. But now we've updated where Adam left the production, so we now have Zach back. So it's really a cool take. They are fighting this main villain. He's called the Arbiter. He is the first Ranger who's been corrupted by the morphing grid. So his whole purpose is, I want to eliminate all the Power Rangers across all the multiverses, not just one. That's kind of the gist of the story. There's a lot of little flowing elements, little quirks to it, but that's like the main point they want to sell is this guy is out for just complete annihilation.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you guys haven't seen it, like it's great, and like you're still gonna get like one of the things that I loved about this, especially in episode 3 where Logan appeared, was the show will still retain that cheese that we like from Power Rangers. You know how cheesy like some of the stuff could get back in the day, and even still to this day, like the things that we really do enjoy, they do keep that. And I remember one of the lines, like you're talking, like, well, technically it's not you talking, you're doing all the suit and the stunt stuff, but actually we should give a shout out to our buddy who is the actual voice.
Yeah, my boy Jeffrey. Yep. Jeffrey was Roz.
Yep, guy is a great artist. He does a lot of good work. And his voice was great for it. And Logan's like, suit work was great in it. But there was this one part in it where I think it was Jordan, the creator, who actually said this part. Like after like you gave a speech and Jeff gave a speech, he goes, "Dude, you're darker than DC." Like,
I love that.
Yeah, like, that line was great.
That's the one part I loved about the series is like the little jabs they do to like make fun of like the show and everything. Like I love that, where it's like, maybe you guys won't die as quick as I thought you would. You're darker than DC, bro.
that was great. Like that was beautiful. And that was kind of a cool thing too, is like I'm a little bit a part of the show as well. So Logan was telling me, about the show, that the show had been building up, because like I'd seen like a little bit of the first like episode, the second one. I hadn't watched it all fully, and I really liked it. And he was telling me about the first 2 episodes, and yeah, dude, you got to watch this stuff and everything. So they actually lost, or was stolen. It was their Dragon Dagger, and Logan was here. I don't know. I think we were like playing video games here or something like that, or hanging out or doing a shoot. And I was like, dude, just call them up and everything and tell them that they can borrow my Dragon Dagger. And Logan's like, wait, dude, you serious? And I was like, yeah, if it helps them and everything like that, they can borrow it. I trust you, man. You'll keep it safe. And so when you watch episode 3, the Dragon Dagger you see in there is mine. And so we're like, when episode 3 premieres, right? This is great. So me and Logan's friends, Ashley and Mia, who you probably, if you guys follow my photography, you've seen them as well. They've been especially Mia. She was the Chun-Li in our Street Fighter shoot who was fighting against Logan, because he was Vega in that shoot. We were all here at my house. We were watching like the live like action of it, like, you know, it was being streamed live on YouTube. And, you know, like Logan, just like the minute he walks in on screen looking like a badass, we're all like hopping and hollering, like clapping our hands and shit like that. You know, it's like, that's our boy! That's our boy there! Like, it was so cool seeing like a good friend of ours like walk on a screen. And then I see the dagger at one point on screen. And I'm like, oh, that's my baby! I feel like a proud parent. I am so proud of her. Look at her! Shining and everything like that. This is great.
My God, that was great. I was dying with that when you commented that. I'm just like, Tony, please. Just right on the page, just be like, that dagger, it looks so shiny. I'm like, Tony, stop it. What are you doing?
Oh my God, it was just so perfect. Like it was really good. So again, guys, you got to watch this because Logan has some great scenes as the Chrono Ranger. You got to watch this because it's very, you know, like I've always said this about Hollywood. Like Hollywood doesn't understand what it takes to make a good video game movie, right? Like we've seen the flops time and time again. Like the first Silent Hill was decent. Like it wasn't as bad. And I would say that the first Resident Evil movie, as much as I love Resident Evil, I hate those movies with a passion. If you look at the first one, like not as a Resident Evil movie, it's actually pretty good. But that's really it. Like any of the other ones that ever came out, like the Double Dragon movie back in the 90s, and like, oh no, okay, the first Mortal Kombat movie was good. We'll go with that. Like that's still a good one to this day, in my opinion. But when it comes to fans, I've always said fans do it right. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's no more apparent when you watch something like Broken Gear, which is a Final Fight fan movie. For those of you who don't know, Final Fight is a Capcom beat 'em up game back in the day, which was like, you know, the Super Nintendo was like the Capcom version of Streets of Rage, which I think Streets of Rage came out maybe first, I can't remember exactly. But, you know, the guy that got to play Mike Hagar looked just like him. The guy playing Cody was great. And actually, the guy playing Guy in this was actually Yoshi Sudaro, who was, you know, Power Rangers Dino Charge.
And Time Force Silver in Power Rangers Hyper Force. Hi, Yoshi. Fight me one day.
That's true. That's true. He did. I forgot about that. And then, like, you know, there's other ones out there. The Matthew Mercer produced. He also was Ganondorf in this a series called There Will Be Brawl. It came out I think 10 years ago. Very dark and amazing. It's like 6 episodes. It's fantastic. Like all these there was a Metroid Samus fan film. I think Olivia Munn, I think was her name, or Jessica Chobot. Like one of those girls was Samus in it, and it looked beautiful. And when it's done by the fans for the fans, you're gonna get a great product, and that's exactly what you get when you look at something like Unworthy. Like, you know, the martial arts aspect of the show is really good too. Like, you know, the things that you guys were doing, like especially when Jenna and the Red Ranger were training in that montage in episode 3, like that was great.
Oh, absolutely, they're all phenomenal. And I think it's funny. Excuse me. Washi, he's the voice of the Arbiter. We were all just chatting one day on the Power Hour, and he was mentioning how everyone in Unworthy has like a specific skill that puts them in their own ability of like why they stick out.
Ooh.
Like you'll have Jordan, he's actually a gymnast and an acrobatic. Jenna, 2nd degree black belt. Eric, 1st degree black belt. I think Christine, the Yellow Ranger, is also 1st degree black belt. Ronan, who is an absolute badass, he's self-taught in all his styles. Could easily be, I still think he's a black belt, even though he doesn't have the rank, I don't think. But everyone has that. I'm more weapons-based. That's kind of like where my skill lies. And I know Washi, if he actually became a Power Ranger, he knows parkour like me. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we all have like a specific skill that like makes us these like cool badasses.
Yeah, like everybody brings something to the table in this production, and it's amazing because that was like one of the things like that we kind of noticed in Power Rangers is that like some characters are just there to fill a suit, and some actors get obviously more time to grow than others do. And that's kind of like what this show seems to be doing. Like, you know, if you guys follow Unworthy on Facebook and you follow them on, especially like on Instagram, there's polls all the time. It's like, yeah, who would you guys like to see like in future episodes of Unworthy? What would you like to see from this character? Or, you know, we've got this one coming out. What do you guys think about that? They're very open with their audience. And I think that's like one of the reasons why you guys have been such a pretty big success with this, is because you're just really good to the people that, you know, like, you know, you reach out to and like you reach back to them and stuff, you know, and I think it's great. I think everything you guys have done so far is friggin' fantastic.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the one part I like about them, where literally they say it's by fans for fans, and they truly stand by that. That's the one part I love about them the most.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. Like, you can literally tell when it's like when a production is just about making something or making money off something, or you just see when it's like pure fan love, and that's what I love about this entire series. So so like again, like we won't stay like on Unworthy too long and everything, because this is like this, I mean, there's only been 3 episodes so far, so we're not going to ask Logan to like reveal anything like that. I'm not holding him hostage or anything, or have like some family member held captive or anything like that anymore.
Can I have my cat back, please? Anytime now?
I gave you that cat back. Son of a bitch. No, but so yeah, so we're gonna talk about like Power Rangers in general, like our love for it and like what our favorite like seasons are and stuff. But so like pretty much, dude, like how did it start for you? Like where did it all begin for you, like with Power Rangers? Because you're a couple years younger than I am.
For this, so it's funny as it sounds. Do you know my first episode I ever watched of Power Rangers was?
What's that?
Countdown to Destruction.
Really? That was like 1999, right?
Yeah, 98, 99. And I was kind of hooked because I was like, I don't know what happened. So, I mean, like, I think it was because I always shopped at thrift stores. I'm poor. If anyone doesn't know that, because I wear the same clothes all the time, and I still, it carried through to adult life. But my mom and me would always go to thrift stores, and they had VHSs of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'm like, oh, and I always would buy them because they were like $1. So I would watch all of them. And I was like, wow, it's like, this is so cool. And then I started watching a bit of Zeo. Didn't finish it at the time. I have to finish it later. Turbo. I don't like Turbo. Then I got to space. Then I finally watched my first full season all the way through in Lost Galaxy.
Ah, okay. That's actually that's a very much interesting story, more than most people that say, because like for me personally, it was the beginning, like all the way back at Fox Kids when they first announced Power Rangers was coming, and I'd see this thing, you know, I was there like right at the, because I'm 33, so like I was there for the beginning of it all and seeing where it like started and where it's come from today. So there's really not much of that. Like I remember, because my mother was always sick and my dad had to work like late hours and stuff, I had to stay at my aunt's house, so they didn't have actually cable at their house and everything, but like Fox 25 was like a basic channel back then. I think it still probably is to this day, but that's like how I discovered Power Rangers, was that, and I saw like all this like crazy like action on screen, and then, you know, years later you realize that shit, this was, most of it was made in Japan. What the hell? So that being said, like so what is your favorite season of the show? Like what out of all the series that they've made, like which is your favorite?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean, I almost can't pick one, I feel like, because there's been like favorite parts of like series that I like. I can do like a top like 5 in no particular order that are like, okay, these would be like my like 5 favorites that are like, wow, this was phenomenal. Can do that for you. I can't pick one. There's no way up. And
yeah, definitely go for it. Yeah. That works.
So I mean, obviously Lost Galaxy.
Yep.
Leo definitely was relatable to me, and I love Manga Defender. It's my favorite Ranger.
Hell yeah.
Time Force probably be up there. Love Time Force. In Space, 100% was up there. Gonna throw some wild cards here. I like Lightspeed Rescue. I really like Lightspeed Rescue.
That one doesn't get enough love.
Cool. It was very realistic, where it's like, hey, this guy's a fireman. This girl's a paramedic. This guy's a lifeguard. You know what I mean? Like, it's like these are normal people, but they're chosen to be heroes in a sense, even though they already are heroes.
Yeah, they really don't give you a what do you call it there? Like they really, like that was kind of like the one where they really didn't use kids as much. Like it wasn't really kids. Like these were adults at this point.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get into that too. And I would say my final for number 5 would be RPM.
Oh
I think
yeah,
RPM
yeah,
is phenomenal.
yeah. RPM is like as dark as you can get, pretty much.
It was if it ended right there, like if that was supposed to be, and it was supposed
Yeah,
to
it
be, but
was.
if
Yeah,
it did end, I would have no qualms. I think that's literally how you should go out. Where it's like a dystopian era world, and like this is it. It's like the final battle.
yeah. That was like that. That's one that where you could have ended the series, because like there was technically throughout the history of the show there was multiple times where they could have ended the series, and where they would have ended it would have actually been very good. Like, you know, in like Power Rangers in Space was supposed to be the original finale of the franchise because Turbo did so bad.
Right. But in
So
space was just so good. The
yeah,
popularity just shot it up.
yep. And it did, it really, it shot them up. And isn't that like what didn't RPM do the same thing?
Um
Because they kept going.
the thing was Saban brought it back.
Ah.
That was the thing. That was Disney's last season. So they were like fully intent on ending it like right there.
Hmm.
And so I mean when they brought it back, and I mean like I'll be real with you. Well, something else I want to talk to you about was like the ratings. I don't know
Yes.
if you ever looked into it, Tony, but it's kind of sad. Like I looked up the ratings for Power Rangers Samurai, and they had good ratings. They were like 3 to 4 million an episode, which was really good for like TV. I was like, wow, it's like this is really good viewership. You know, Samurai was definitely popular, and I mean, it wasn't the worst. It just was average to me. But if you look up Beast Morphers, Tony, I looked up the viewership. They have. I actually sent this to my friend, but I'm going to say this part. I know for a fact the average episode averages like 750,000 views.
And that's pretty low for a
That's so
series.
low. That's like almost a fourth of their audience, maybe even less, maybe like 20%.
Jesus.
This is awful. And I sent this to my friend because he's in LA, and we were chatting about it because he was talking to me about the business and everything and where it's going, all that jazz. And apparently season 2 of Beast Morphers in total, and this is like 9. Okay, here it is. Here it is. This article, and I don't have the quote, but I have the quote for you. It's the 9 episodes of Beast Morphers in season 2 in 2020 drew a total, and I'm saying total, of 3.747 viewers. The most watched episode of Samurai in 2011, all by itself, drew 3.718. That's awful. I was
Yeesh.
like, damn. And that's why I'm like kind of like concerned, because I'm just like it's not drawing good numbers. It's almost like it's really like the fans aren't happy.
Yeah, and this is actually something we talked about when we first wanted to do this podcast episode, was the fact that like, yeah, like fans we call it there, fans are not happy with how they begin, because like we got to go back a little bit. We look at like, you know, like if they had ended Power Rangers at RPM, right?
Mm-hmm.
They ended it there, it would have done really well and everything. But we all know that this is a show that's really funded more so by how well the toys sell and everything, kind of deal. And then, you know, Samurai came out, and Samurai did very good, and then Megaforce followed, and that was a friggin' flop.
God,
Right? Everything that they amped up from Megaforce was terrible, and the acting was really bad. And the funny thing of it is, the actors that are in Megaforce aren't even bad actors. Like especially the guy who played the Red Ranger, he's actually a very good actor. But it's just, again, it's how it's written and how you're directed. If you're not allowed to make changes or like, you know, question the script or say, hey, this kind of sounds corny for even something like this. So, you know, that tanked. Dino Charge kind of brought it back a little bit.
I disagree. I feel like Dino Charge kind of flopped to me.
Ooh,
I
really?
was watching it, and it's just like I know I've seen Brennan, I've seen Yoshi. I know like they're very versatile actors, so they're great actors. I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
like gonna
Oh,
say
yeah.
that. But if I watch the episodes and I watch their corn, like I understand Power Rangers is corny, no matter what. But this was like bad corny. Like, it wasn't like the classical corny, it was just like, "Oh, this is just bad."
Okay, see, I was kind of like, I was kind of feeling like, I was like, oh, this is kind of giving me the old Mighty Morphin vibes a little bit and everything like that. And so that's probably why I liked it. But now I guess I get what you're saying is like, I saw a little bit of what I used to like, but then I didn't realize that, like, oh, wait, this is actually kind of bad type deal.
It's mainly just some of the dialogue choices where it's like, what I remember it was me and my friend who both are Power Ranger fans since we were both young, both the same age. We were watching an episode of Dino Charge, and we saw Brennan, the Red Ranger, go up to, I think it was the Black Ranger? I'm not sure, I can't quote me on that. He's like, "What if we, like, do this?" And then he, like, literally, Tony, he jumps up right next to him, then puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "We team up." And I was like, what was the point of that? Like, what was the over effort to literally just say, like, why couldn't you say, "Let's team up. Like, let's
Yeah,
work together." And I was just like, "This is stupid." Like, this is
true. Yeah, like
dumb.
I didn't watch all of like Dino Charge, and I only watched like a little bit of like Dino Charge Super and how it ended, and then you find out that like this universe is in a different like universe than the actual like Ranger universe that we pretty much have come to know, uh, and stuff. And then like with Dino Charge being like that, then Ninja Steel came out, and Ninja Steel wasn't that good at all.
Yeah, Ninja Steel was awful. I
Like
didn't
that
like Ninja Steel.
that was pretty bad. Like I mean, even that anniversary episode they had like with Jason Font, Jason David Frank, and all the others coming back was good, but they shouldn't have made it a one episode deal, and it just became about Tommy really, and which is
Yeah.
that happens, but that like some of the acting in it was just really bad, even by Ranger standards, and that was one that a lot of people don't talk about that much now. Like they're kind of glad that it just ended, and then Beast Morphers happened. We had a big team up promise that was a huge letdown, and now we've got Dino Fury coming out, and we don't know what the future is going to hold. And I think that's kind of like this is actually something that we talked about before, and we agreed on was the fact that is something like Power Rangers still for kids these days? Like, is this a show that like was once for kids and to sell toys? Is it really for them anymore? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, obviously, I know, but like, you can tell the people watching and everything and listening.
Well, I will say this. I mean, look at all the conventions we have out right now, Tony. Morphicon, Ranger Stop, just to name a few. I mean, I know there's more. They're escaping me at this moment. The majority of the people who go there are adults.
Yep.
You don't see many kids in like Power Ranger, like the suits, like the Halloween costumes or anything like that. You do a little bit, but more so as the fact that the parents were fans and
Exactly.
they want their kid to experience it too, like they did.
Yes, they want to bring them
And
up on like good programming and stuff that they used to watch when we were a kid. Like our parents brought us up on like Looney Tunes and all that stuff, and
yeah,
all the old classics. And when I got older, I appreciated the old sitcoms like the Andy Griffith Show, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Sanford and Son, all that kind of stuff.
it's I think the best way I can describe it is I'm a big fan of Paul Schreier, Jason Narvi, Bulk and Skull.
Oh yeah,
Um, they personally were inspirations for me becoming an actor. I've watched their panels and I absolutely fell in love. And I was like, I want to become an actor because I was like, this is what I want to do. And one thing that really stuck out to me was with Paul saying there was a kid to ask him a question. He goes, "I never really found you guys that funny." And they kind of like shrug. He's like, "That's fine." And they were just like, but he goes, "But then like as I grew older, I'm like watching your stuff again, and I'm laughing my ass off because you guys are so funny." And he goes, Paul goes, "It's because you grew up." He goes, "We weren't meant for the kids." He goes, "You watch our stuff back, and we did some like pretty like gray area, blue area stuff where it's like, oh, it's like this is kind of an adult joke. I understand this innuendo. You know what I mean?" So like that's what I've noticed where like they even at the panels they're talking, they're like, "All you guys are now 25, 30s, you know what I mean? And you're still loyal fans." And that's why I don't get is why, from a business standpoint, Power Rangers, Haim Saban, even well, Disney is still for kids, but why they didn't just see that and they were like, huh, all these people are adults now and they're still fans of this show. Maybe we should put out a more adult content, like
yeah.
more gritty, dark, like not like the whole let's team up because we're all high schoolers stuff again.
they need to get off the high school kick thing. They definitely need to like really stop doing that old trope. Like you could still do it, but like cut it down from like season to season and everything, you know, like take a couple seasons off. But you are like, I agree 100%. And like Jason Narvi, every time you hear that guy speak, he's just so smart and everything.
Yeah. Oh, he's a doctorate. He has a doctorate in theater.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He does. I remember that now. Yeah, he's like, I mean, because I met him and Paul at Rhode Island Comic Con a couple years ago, and it was like being a part of the Three Stooges. Like we were all just like firing jokes back at each other and everything like that, and it was I met the
Rhode Island Comic Con too.
It was probably the same year that I went there. I think it was
probably
whatever year that Uncharted 4 came out.
I think they'll get a good laugh out of this. So when I met them, obviously, like being an actor, I'm surrounded by like people all the time. I don't care. It kind of just whatever. It's cool. It's Will Ferrell. Great. Okay, where's food? You know what I mean? That's like my motto. But when I met Jason Narvi and Paul, I was like, oh man, I'm nervous. It's like, oh, these are my heroes. It's like I've wanted to meet you guys since I was like 4, you know? So I meet them, they give me like a big hug and everything, and I'm like, oh, you guys are so cool. And like I said to him, it's like, hey guys, thank you so much. No, and I said, I'm an actor because of you guys. And Paul comedically as he goes, great, we ruined his life, Skull. And I was like, but then the best part, it's like Tony said, I'm tall. So Paul is on my left, Jason. I'll send this picture to you, Tony, so you can post it in your thing.
Yeah.
Jason's on my right, Paul's on my left. Jason Narvi goes, I'm gonna put my hand right here on his chest. And me, being the absolute dork and overly smitten young man that I am, that I've met my hero, I stupidly say to Skull, that's okay, Skull. You can touch me wherever you want. Yeah. And when they snapped the picture, they snapped it immediately as I said that. And Jason's eyes are wide, and Paul is choking on laughter. His face is beet red. And it is the greatest meeting I've ever had. I'm so good. I couldn't read what I did that. I walked out and I was just like, I hate myself so much.
That's beautiful. Like that's the thing that makes like meeting a lot of these actors great, is like when crazy stuff like that happens. But you know, like it's true. Like, you know, like they, you know, he told it like it is. Like, you know, like you understand it now because you're older and everything. Like now you understand why it's funny. And they were like the Three Stooges. They were very slapstick comedy back then and stuff. You know, physical comedy. And you know, that was what was really great about those two, and like why they stayed staples for as long as they did. They were like some of like the longest serving non-Rangers in the franchise. So like as returning characters. And like, you know, like we said, like, yeah, sure, this show obviously did start off as a way to sell toys. Like any show really in the 80s and 90s, like cartoons like He-Man and G.I. Joe, anything Barbie related, Biker Mice from Mars, Street Sharks, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that stuff was made to sell toys. And if the toys didn't sell, they would cancel the shows, which is why a lot of good cartoon shows got canceled back in the day. Not saying all the shows were great, because you go back and watch some of them, the animation on it's like horrifying and choppy. But you know, as the series went on, it's like Logan said, and this is like what I've always agreed on too. This series has evolved much further beyond a toy line, because if you're making toys for this that are now like over like the Legacy Dragon Dagger being like, what was it, like $80-$90, Jason's Power Sword being over 100, the Gold Ranger staff being like 80, fucking the Zeonizers being 150, the Morphers being 100, those aren't being given to children. Those are for the fans of the show who still watch the show and grew up with it. Because on the Ranger forums all the time, like all the Facebook pages and on Twitter and all the stuff like that, when people say, I think they need to change up the show's format because it's way too childlike in many ways. Mm-hmm. And people are always like, well, it's not made for adults, so I don't know why you're complaining about a children's TV show. And it's just like, you're in a Power Rangers group. You have to like answer questions in order to get in here so they don't think that you're a troll or a jerk. Why are you saying this? Because it's not for kids anymore. Like, again, you think kids are going to these conventions and meeting these actors? Yes, it's true. You see like Jason Font and Jason David Frank. They always like, you know, show the pictures. You know, all the other Rangers that go, like they take pictures with kids and stuff. But it's always like 95% at least adults like in their like mid-20s to 40s at this point with them, you know, and that's the thing. So going dark like they did in the old days, because it's not a foreign concept, right? Like the reason why Time Force is my number one favorite Ranger show is because it's dark and it's mature and it's well acted. And for the most part, all the characters that are in it are very good. And they gave you a villain that wasn't just like, I'm going to take over the world, I'm going to destroy these Rangers. No, like Rancic, obviously played by the incredibly talented Vernon Wells. His line of work when he plays villains, he's like the best. But because the first thing I ever saw him in was Commando, and he was the main villain in that. But when him is in that villain role of Rancic was amazing, because like he didn't just have an army at his disposal to make. He stole, like, you know, he had the containment unit with all those like frozen monsters. He was running out at one point, so he would have to go and start doing fights to have to get his own hands dirty. And you know, the shit that he did to Frax, even when he did to his own daughter, and everything plays in. You know, what Wes goes through with his father. That level of maturity can be put in Power Rangers and have it work. Even if you don't want to go as dark, go to something like Dino Thunder. Dino Thunder was a very well thought out show, because Tommy was pretty much the reason why a lot of the events of that season happened. So they didn't bring Tommy back just to bring him back. I mean, you know, they could have and everything like that, but he was the direct result of everything that happened. So there's a reason for him to be there. He's teaching a new like now he's the mentor to a new team while getting back into the action at one point. I think it was like episode 7 or something like that. He got his Dino Gem, but you know, and then, you know, he shares a lot of similarities and understand what Trent goes through in many ways. And the villain, Mesogog, he's great because he just wants to like just alter the world to like dinosaurs again. It's not like I want to take over the world. He had something different, and the animatronics for him and the voice acting for him were like perfect. And again, so there was dark, but there was cheese, but they handled a lot of the social situations a lot different than they would have back in the older days of Mighty Morphin. It was all like goody two shoes, like we're gonna clean up the, you know, the park because it's nature and all that stuff. But then, like, you know, they show how Ethan deals, you know, being a computer geek, he deals with the bully in his school and stuff. And Connor's not your typical jock; he's not a bully. And Kira is like a alternate punk goth girl. So very different. And I said, like, that's the way I think people need to start looking at it, is that the past has shown us that Power Rangers can be mature and darker while still retaining the cheese and the childlike aspect of it, because it can. And again, going into the whole, like, we need to get off this high school thing, we really do.
Like, oh yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look back at some of the best seasons, the ones that like really stick out, I always love the elements of there's realism. Sometimes they poke jokes at like the universe that they live in, which I think is absolutely hysterical at some points. What some of my like favorite things is they actually introduce like real life problems to the show, where it's like, wow, I can relate to this. You know what I mean? It's not like just a simple like, oh no. Like I love Zach, don't get me wrong, but the moment where like someone forgot their birthday, I was like, okay, like that's pretty good. But then they'll have like the next episode was like, I don't know, like litter or something, you know, like they have to clean up the community, like you said, and it's like, it doesn't make sense, you know what I mean? Like, how do you go from this to this?
Yeah.
And going back to what were we talking about? What was I thinking? The reasons why I love RPM is I love the fact that they'll literally like call it out. They'll be like, why is there an explosion behind us?
Yeah.
Why do I have to say this in order to morph? And like the Dr. K has to explain there is a reason for each of these things, and I thought that was just great. I also like the fact that like they actually develop the characters more. I feel like when they're not in high school, because it's like, wow, these are adults, and I'm an adult now. You know what I mean? So I can watch it back and be like, huh, wow, I relate to this. You know what I mean? Like, what was it? What's his name? The Red Ninja Storm Ranger. I know he's got kind of some shitty reputation, but Shane. I remember Shane was a skateboarder, and I was a skateboarder when I was around that age. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. I can relate to him. And then like I remember his older brother is like a businessman and kind of like telling him like, you're not gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's like no one cares about a skateboarder. And I feel like that's something like everyone who's like goes against the norm, like goes into arts or sports, like they always get told that. So I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's like lost now.
It does feel like that, because like, again, going back to Time Force, look at the relationship between Wes and his father. His father literally planned out his whole life and didn't give his son a chance to be what he wanted. So when he finally went off on his own and didn't want to live at home anymore, his father realized, like what a person he was becoming when he became a Power Ranger. He tried to get him to join, and then he's still like, no, you don't get it. It's not about money. It's about protecting people. There are things out there that are threatening us, and people can't afford, the Silver Guardians or anything. Then, and it's like you said, like with character development, there is a lot of that. And, then his father changes throughout the show when he almost dies and everything. And, and he gets saved eventually, but Rancic almost kills him. And that was some really good development. And Time Force, a lot of the characters do have a lot of their, I think Lucas was the only one who really didn't have that much of a development. But
he didn't, but I do say I did like the element of the fact it wasn't huge development, but I also realized in a sense, you can't develop everyone equally. I think it's important to they have to grow on their own, outside of the season.
Yeah. It is also true that, you're also restricted because of Sentai footage, because they were still relying on that's what a lot of people have to understand, is that when it comes to the Sentai footage, you can only do so much. But whereas the original Mighty Morphin, they started using their own more footage at one point. So they were able to, develop the original characters a lot more than, because that's
why I love Lightspeed so much. That's why I think Lightspeed Rescue is one of the best seasons. I know it's kind of underrated, but just the fact that
it is.
They could do so much with it. Ryan alone. One thing I love the most is so just for your viewers to know is being on the tall side is kind of a disadvantage if you are auditioning to become a Power Ranger, because the suit actors are from Japan and the majority of them are 5'10". That's usually 5'10" is the cutoff point for height. So the reason why I like Lightspeed so much was Carter Grayson was actually Sean is 6'2".
Yep.
And Ryan, the Titanium Ranger, is 6'1". So they are technically the tallest Ranger actors in the whole universe.
That Forever Red episode kind of proves it when you see Carter and that, when they do all that walking to the space station and all that stuff.
He towered over everyone. And I was like, damn, you literally even outshine JDF, who's 5'11", 6.
Exactly. So that was that again, a very good season, and have the height and everything, and still get the job. And you tried out, did try out for an actual Power Ranger, the official Power Ranger series, but you missed the cutoff date or something, right?
So I made it to second callback for Beast Morphers. When I did the first audition, I did a fight scene in my basement, and I did the scene. They said to me, it's we noticed that you're kind of tall in your ceiling, so you really couldn't do much. I'm for clarification, my ceiling down there is probably about 6'6", 6'7". So, I have a 3-inch cutoff point of moving around. So, they said to me, it's hey, shoot a fight scene outdoors. And I was like, okay, it's show what you can do. And I'm like, okay, cool. So me and my friends and my crew, we shot a fight scene in a gazebo, and during that, I ended up, I pulled my hamstring doing a crescent kick, so that absolutely sucked. My kicks had to be sped up at the end because I was hurting so much with that pain, and then I was informed that, hey, they've already selected the Rangers. So I was like, damn.
Well, wasn't it because I thought it was because of your age too?
Yeah, 20. Just letting you guys know too. I actually learned this that not many people know this, but 25 is now the cutoff point for Power Rangers because they are stuck on this high school thing.
Yeah, which is a bummer. Like I said, I think by going the adult route and stuff like that would just be for a couple of seasons would be, or at least like early 20s or something like that, right? Because I think that would work out very well. You'd get a bit more of a mature cast, and I get it. It is a production, but I feel that a lot of the people running these shows now, it's kind of like the video game world. A lot of my fans know how I feel about big video game companies, and when they screw up their franchises for so many years and they turn them into something they're not, and then they wonder why they're not making money, and then they revert back to the old ways and do the old thing. Best example, I love Capcom, my favorite gaming company of all time, but they screwed up Resident Evil for the longest time to where fans were giving them a lot of backlash, and they're like, oh man, we got to fix something. So they started going back to the horror roots with the Revelation series, and then 7 kind of brought it home for the horror, and then so will 8 as well. So that's the thing, you gotta keep your ear low to the ground and not think about the green, because if you start thinking about the money, that's where a lot of things I feel fall apart. And I think by moving off from teenage, because I mean we can't have kids be Rangers because we saw how that worked once.
Yeah. Turbo.
Yeah, we saw that worked, and I wish Turbo was better than it was, but they literally. I say Turbo is like that kid who gets a brand spanking new toy and just throws the other one away and doesn't want to play with it anymore. It's like they had no reason to get rid of the Zeo power. Zeo power makes you like literally stronger than before, as the theme song says, and Zeo power continues to grow as you use it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And they
not only that, it's like, how do you go from this mythical morphing power, the mighty morphin power, to a legitimate, what in my opinion, almost like ancient Egyptian power? Because I mean, like a lot of these, like you got the pyramid, you have like these ancient like powers and stuff from like the ancient days. I'm like, oh, this is cool. Until like cars.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like I feel like RPM again. I hate being like this RPM mark, but I feel like they did it better. And then like I know Operation Overdrive absolutely sucked.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, like I feel like cars are kind of like a hit or miss. It's like you really have to like get it right. But then again, like they've done like 3 Ninja series. They've done like 3 Dino series, I think.
Oh, I mean, yeah, like they've had the original Dino Thunder, Dino Charge, and now the 4th one coming out.
Oh, yeah, episode 4 now because Dino Fury.
Yeah, Dino Fury's coming out and everything. So that that'll be number 4 for that. And even a lot of people are like, okay, can we move off the freaking dinosaurs, please?
I mean, like they just had so many ideas. Like, why did they? What I don't understand, but I never will, Tony, is Super Mega Force. They decide to just give them I don't know the Sentai's name, but like the Pirate Sentai.
I think that was Go Kiger.
Yep, Go Kiger. And just the fact that you waste that, which was in many of people's opinion, like one of the greatest Sentais and one of the most original ones, just as like an alternative form in Megaforce. I thought that was stupid. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, they didn't really think that out, and like the whole like legendary war and how it was being built up on social media and stuff was gonna be like this big thing, and literally you saw nothing because they sped up, like they did like characters speeding in, like rapid slashing and stuff like that, and that was just not handled as well. It was
stupid because they couldn't get many people, you know. And I watched it, I'm just like, wow, there's like 10 actual actors from the show. You know what I mean? Like this is stupid. Like you literally. Like, you know, they had the budget for it back then. Yeah.
And it was a 2-parter, but like the second part is where it mostly focused on everything. The first part was just kind of like the beginnings. It should have been a 3-parter. Remember, kids, do you remember when Power Rangers could do like arcs? Like the Green Ranger, the evil Green Ranger one was like 6-7 episodes.
Oh, God, yeah. That was one of the best arcs. They had the Magnet Defender arc for 6 episodes.
That's right. Yep.
Those arcs were so good. The Thunder Brothers.
Yep.
They had so many good introduction arcs and so many like closing arcs. End of Time, 3-parter.
Oh my God. Yeah.
One of the best. Countdown to Destruction. One of the best.
That still today is like amazing. And I'm not like the biggest in space fan either.
Was it the end of Lost Galaxy? I think that was the name of Lost Galaxy's ending. I'm not sure.
I think it was
Journey's End, excuse me.
Okay.
Just so many like ending things, like ending scenarios that were just like perfect. Where it's like, wow, it's like they really went all out with it.
Yeah. And then like, like Megaforce happens and it's just like, okay. Yeah. It's just, I think that they just don't know where to take certain things sometimes. And I know that like the one thing I can say about Beast Morphers is Beast Morphers actually relied more on original footage than actual Sentai footage. And I think that's kind of a good thing, but we all know about like, people don't want to spend money in productions. And everything. Like we've all heard the horror stories of what it was like working for Saban in the early days, and even the Green Dino Charge Rager and stuff like that. He was there's tweets about it that you can still find out there, and there's podcasts talking about like he was not happy working on that show. I guess like there was like a lot of I think it was like really like demanding, and like I mean acting is demanding, as you of all people would know, but there's a difference between demanding and unfair, and I think that's like what it was for them, because I mean. We heard the horror stories of the original Mighty Morphin cast and what they went through.
Right.
We know that Saban doesn't want to.
The thing is, Tony, that's not a lot of people do know is Power Rangers is non-union. So to those who don't know what non-union means, essentially like union actors are on like major productions, like you'll see in theaters. Non-union productions, they aren't as there's not that many perks, I guess you could say. There's no insurance usually, but I think they would have to have it for this one. Um, you get treated a lot worse. You're not protected because when
Nope.
you're a union actor, like if someone was like a dick to me on set, I could easily just call my union rep and be like, "Hey, so and so said XYZ to me, called me this, did this to me, da 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 da." You know what I mean? They would get on it because I'm protected under the union. These guys aren't. So with them, they're screwed. You know what I mean? It's like who they're gonna call? Their agent. Their agent's gonna be like, "Yo, suck it up," because we're getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like the big reason is like, with the union actors and everything, like these actors now, like the ones that aren't union, they're not protected, and it sucks because like, this is like, I mean, you remember like the old stuff that was talked about before with like Jason and like all them and stuff like that, how they got like no money and how the hours were very demanding, anything like they were shooting for like, like well past like 13-hour days or something like that, which is amazing when you hear that because you look at how much of the original like Power Rangers show was, I feel at times it was more Sentai footage than anything else.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was all just voiceovers mostly. I mean, which is a good thing because it also helps with like production.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely work itself out.
Yeah, it just it's tough. Like it's tough to do that and like deal with it. I mean, you can have fun because we know a lot of actors have, because a lot of actors got a little good treatments, and we know that J.C. David Frank gets a lot of good treatments because he's like the poster child for the franchise. I'm not bashing him or anything like that because I've met him. Nice guy. He was always nice to me. But like other actors aren't as lucky, and some don't even want to come back. Like David Yost, he will not come back until it's unionized.
I don't blame him.
I
don't blame him because then he's protected. You know what I mean? He'll actually the thing is too is like a lot of people get is like ununion, so non-union pay is a lot less than union pay as expected.
Yep.
I mean, non-union days, if you're a background actor, I think it's like 8 hours. You'll, depending if it was like mass, be like $88 a day, which is ridiculous before taxes. So I mean, if you get a speaking role, God, I don't know. I mean, like, it's nothing compared to what you would get as a union actor.
Oh, exactly.
Like they would have, their pay would be substantially higher.
I just wish that they got like better treatment, like a lot of these actors do, like especially stunt doubles too. Because haven't talked to like Ruben Langdon enough.
Get treated like shit, man. It pisses me off.
Oh yeah, like I mean, and some of the actors on Power Rangers did their like own stunts and stuff like that. Like Dan Southworth and Ruben Langdon, he did a lot of the suit work when I interviewed him before, and then I talked to him again at Kineticon last year. You're talking about doing the suit work, like being in the suits as the monsters and shit like that, and like being a Silver Guardian on Time Force, so you could see once in a while. Like they do a lot of stuff, and they do like really serious work, and they're treated like crap even less. They're treated even worse, I should say. Anything, because like they got to do all the dirty work, and
exactly.
That's
like then I think a lot of people don't get is like when you see a stunt actor, it's like I always talk to them, I always make sure they're good and everything. Even like hey man, like you looked awesome there. I mean, just like lift their spirits up, because at the end of the day, dude, I hate the fact that this is the way the business is, but a lot of people like view stunt actors are like, oh, it's no worries, we'll get a stunt actor, and they'll like be a lot hard on like, hey, I need you to do this spin kick, or I need you to like do this, or fall from this building, da 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 da, risk their health, and they're very demanding of that.
Yeah.
And I don't like that personally, because I mean, like, if anything, you should treat them with more respect, because I mean, if someone's doing my stunts or someone's doing someone else's stunts where they're like have to take a fall or have to take this like huge scene or this anything, you know what I mean? It's just like, hey man, I really appreciate you. I'll offer them waters. I'll be like, hey man, let me go get you something. Like let me help you out like any way I can. Just little things. And I wish people of higher power would do that, or just be like, hey, thank you.
Yeah, because
I think that's the biggest thing. Just thank you.
I have like huge respect for stunt artists. I would love to like do stunt work and mocap work, everything like that, because that, I mean, like when I remember when I talked to Neil, who voices Nikolai in Resident Evil 3 remake, and he's also the motion capture for the Nemesis. And he was we're talking about like the physical demanding stuff, and he's like, yeah, next time, like if I'm in California and you're out there visiting California, like let me know, I'll bring you by and stuff. We can do like stuff. And I was like, oh sweet, that'd be awesome, like see what it's really like and everything. And it's a really demanding job, and I really feel that at the end of the day, Power Rangers needs to shape up, because I guess we can go into the next thing now, is the fact that people are saying it could be canceled. Now I haven't read up about the whole thing about it and everything, but you probably have. So what is the deal with that? Like what happened?
Well, Power Rangers getting canceled?
Yeah, supposedly.
I mean, when you really look at it, it's like when I watch Power Rangers, Tony, now and stuff, it's like not many people feel that connection anymore, so
Yep.
we don't tune in, obviously.
Yeah.
And the fact that literally you go from 3.7 views to like 700 or 600,000 views, and like a combined total viewership of that episode point, it's like no one cares anymore. And I think the big problem too is we're gonna touching back to the JDF thing, how he's always coming back. I think that's a bad thing in a sense. Like, yeah, it's a nice little like, hey, for our older fans, here's a guy from your time, you know what I mean? But it's also like it defeats me like of viewing the current Rangers as heroes. It's like, why does this person have to come back to save you?
Right. So you're saying he steals the spotlight of the Rangers you're trying to develop that are the current team.
Well, I wouldn't say he steals the spotlight. Like, it's nice to bring him in, but I feel like they should use him as like, hey, you're doing this wrong. Let me train you how to do this. You know what I mean? Or even if just like a little motivational thing where it's like some little cheesy Power Rangers motivational speech about how the power comes from within or something. You know what I mean? But when all these Rangers from the past come back, and I like it, don't get me wrong, 'cause it's kind of cool. It's like, oh, cool, Jason Font's still a Ranger. This guy's still a Ranger. This girl's still a Ranger. I'm like, that's cool, but it's also like, well, why should I care about these Rangers then? Who are like the current team?
I mean, I think kind of maybe that like a lot of the kids that like are watching the newer stuff now, if they have parents that grew up with it because it's Netflix and everybody has Netflix and that's where Power Rangers is right now. I think that the kids grew up watching those, as they've grown up, these little kids now have watched the series, so they might think that it's cool to see these characters a little bit older now.
That's fair.
And that would also give, from a marketing standpoint, that'd be like, oh man, if we bring back, Jason David Frank, Jason Font, and we bring back like Steve Cardenas and, all these other characters that we want and stuff, that's going to get the old school crew to come in and have their kids tune in and everything and get other people talking. And then we'll get more numbers coming in, because that, again, that whole Ninja Steel team up episode ended up just being like a whole like JDF episode, which again, I don't mind because I thought the idea was cool, but more on that later. Like I'll get into like why like these team up episodes need to be a bit structured differently, but continue on your part.
So my thing is like also when you look back at the past Ranger teams, I mean, like who legitimately do you like? Okay, I'll say this: Dino Charge. I remember a few of them. I remember Brandon. I remember Yoshi. I remember Camille. I thought those three were phenomenal. Ninja Steel. I remember Will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's the only one who kind of stuck out to me. Brody. The other seasons, I mean, like you could throw pictures in front of me, Tony. I wouldn't know who these people are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of like the same with like a lot of the newer, like a lot of the season, like the newer ones, like I'd see like once, but because like it wasn't holding my attention as as in it wasn't interesting and not done that well, I was kind of like taken away from it to where my brain just wasn't really remembering anybody that wasn't like a very standout kind of thing. And again, I think it's this whole
thing too, Tony, is like say like let's take like Wild Force for example.
Right.
Like Wild Force, I know every single Ranger from there, and Wild Force isn't even like my favorite season. You know what I mean? But that's because like they were cool. Like I was like, wow, these guys are cool. You know what I mean? Like it's not my favorite, but man, it's like you got Cole, you got Merrick, you got Alyssa, you got Danny, you got Max, you got Taylor. I see right there. I know all six of them. You know what I mean? You throw in God, Ninja Steel, I'll know Will. I know Brody. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so bad because it's like, who else cares about the other Rangers?
And
It's just the Red Ranger now.
yeah, and it's just like that's the thing. It's like if you're not the Red Ranger or the Sixth Ranger or anything like that,
Yep.
you're not even taking that seriously, and they don't get much of an important role. I mean, you really look at it and you don't like they don't focus on that, and it's weird too because like some of these episodes, like some of these seasons, they're 2 seasons, so some of them are like 30 episodes and more. You can give at least like 1-2 episodes to separate people, everything like that. Maybe like rely less on Sentai footage, pump a little more into there, and make the characters, a little bit more interesting in that way. I think that would be a smart idea to do because there's some actors that just don't get enough, and I think some of them, what's her, that became even more popular even after the show. Like what's her name, Sienna, I think her name is Wild Force Yellow.
Serena Vincent.
No, yes, not Wild Force, Mega Force Yellow. She
yeah. Gia. Yeah,
Gia, yeah.
I like Gia. I can remember, you know what I mean, because I know she got other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she got other stuff, but she still goes and like heavily like is involved in like Power Ranger stuff. And if anything, is like she was in a bad season of a show, but she keeps up with it and keeps uptake with it and loves it, and like that's why people remember her because she's still very active with the community and stuff. And I've heard she's like super fucking sweet. Like I've had friends that like I've met her and stuff like that.
She's a dear heart.
Oh yeah, she was so nice to them, and so shout out for her to being so like nice to your fans. But I think that I think there just needs to be more development with a lot of these characters and less focus on obviously like the Red and the Sixth Ranger that comes in. I mean some series though they do a really good job. But like I think one of the best ones, and I think it's kind of overlooked as well, kind of like Lightspeed Rescue, is SPD.
Oh yeah, SPD was great.
Yeah, like
SPD was great.
Yeah, like SPD, its villain, I don't feel like, I mean, he was menacing looking and the voice was great, but I feel like he didn't do that much. Anything,
he didn't do much.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, just... how do I put this? I feel like the villain scenario with SPD was a little flawed, because I know they had the young girl there for a bit, and she was weird. I always get weirded out when I see kids on Power Rangers. I know it's a kid show, but I just feel like they just don't belong.
Yeah,
it's like, why is a kid a hero? Why is a kid a villain? It doesn't.
And she wasn't even a kid. She was just like an adult that wanted to be a kid.
Olympus from Lightspeed Rescue, because he was a baby who turns into the full thing. But
yeah, he becomes like an evil like overlord at one point. Yeah. And SPD did a lot right, and like pretty much the entire cast of SPD did an amazing job at like like in the writing for evolving them. Like I think you shared this the other day on your Instagram. It was the whole like how Sky originally was just like, well, I'm not gonna follow her, she's a girl, and then at the end of the series it's like it's like, Commander, I will follow anybody that you think is worthy to be the Red Ranger, and then he gets to be the Red Ranger because he finally learned.
Yeah, I think that was so cool, and I love the fact that his name escapes me, I'm sorry, but the Red Ranger, he's kind of like a Robin Hood character, and the fact that he becomes the Red Ranger, even though he's not trained, but he's just so good naturally.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that. And the fact that, yeah, Sky is good, but he has a huge character flaw.
Oh, yeah.
And I love the fact that it's I love the fact that the Red Ranger 2 was even just like, he was consoling him and also telling him, was like, you're totally going to be a Red Ranger one day. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to earn this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I love that about it. I thought that was so good because in everyone's mind, I was like, yeah, this guy's going to be the Red Ranger probably. He's probably going to have some huge character flaw, and then they threw her for your loop. It's like, oh, he's blue. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he did. Like, at the end of the series, he actually leaves. I mean, like, the Red Ranger gives it to Sky. Like, well, he leaves the position, and Kruger gives it to him and stuff. And Kruger, I think, is like their best mentor they've ever had, because this is a guy who, like, he told you how it was. He was strictly military and shit, but when he like fucking morphs into the Shadow Ranger, he's a beast. And then we find out later on, and this is canon, Sky becomes the Shadow Ranger because he ends up running. He goes from Red Ranger to he goes from blue to red to Shadow Ranger in charge of SPD. And
yeah, I mean, that's the best part. I love the fact that Bridge becomes the Red Ranger too, and Bridge was kind of dorky and weird. You didn't really like, he's comic relief, you know what I mean?
He was like my favorite character in that, honestly, next to Kruger. But that was the thing, like, you know, like they had like a show where, I mean, I would say that the Pink Ranger didn't have that much development. She had that one episode with the robot dog. That was pretty much it. But you know, Z had a couple of good episodes in there and everything like that, and Kruger had a lot of good ones. And at the end of the season, it wasn't even the Rangers that beat him; it was fucking Kruger that took the guy down.
Right.
Anything. It's like, wow, I think that's kind of a first where the mentor actually like takes him out. It's not even a Ranger that does it. I mean, he's technically a Ranger, but like, you know, it's just like, it's the mentor that does it. It's not the Red Ranger that does it and almost gets killed, like, you know, like Leo and Andros and all those guys and stuff that had come before.
I think just the fact that it's kind of like that's the one time where it was just like, I'm totally okay with this guy taking out, not the team. You know what I mean? Because it's like, in the sense of like, you've hurt me enough, and it's like, I'm not gonna risk my student's life.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm gonna risk my life to take you down.
Yeah. Plus, the other thing,
was perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And like SPD did do that like very well. They handled Kruger's character development really well with the loss of his wife. How he did get angry at times and stuff, but he still like hid it from others. And we can't forget the fact that, like, you know, how brutal the fights were with him, and the fact that like SPD also what's the one what I'm trying to think of for this? I just lost my train of thought, but it's something else that SPD did well aside from the character development. The fact that like these Rangers were B Squad.
Yeah,
they were.
I know.
Yeah, they were B Squad, and we actually had an evil Ranger team. We don't know why they turned evil. They weren't under a spell. They just wanted to do it. Everything. And, you know, I mean, I always thought like what they should have done was to really make them flip was just be the fact that, like, you know, Kruger had to make like a decision. Everything, you know, dump it, like, you know, save people of SPD, like, you know, the town that they're based in, and let the A Squad die. You know, A Squad doesn't die, but like, you know, they get they're found by the main villain or whatever the case may be, and that sets them on the path to villainy. Something like that I think would have been pretty good, but we don't know why. But it was just cool to see like an evil Ranger team at this point. Like, that wasn't like, you know, like just built to be evil. I think that was
the best part, was just the fact that it's just the fact that they had the in-space helmets. I thought that was cool, but it's like modified, so I was like, oh, it's like, it's not, it seemed weird at first because I was just like, oh, you guys got in space, but I was just like, oh, you know what, I actually like this.
Yeah,
I like this a lot, you know.
So yeah, like that. That's just like why it was one of the best series, and very underrated too. Like I said, there's only like one character that really didn't get a lot of development. Even Kat got some time to like get some action. She actually had
even Kat.
Yeah, they had SPD Cat Ranger and everything, which is funny that she's actually a playable character in the Battle for the Grid game of all characters to choose from. Because it's funny, in that game, there's 2 SPD Rangers. It's her and Kruger. We don't have any of the other like main 5 Rangers as playable characters.
I would love to see Sky in there. God, his name is killing me. I gotta look him up because his name's gonna kill me. What is his damn name? Do you know it? What's the Red Ranger's name? He's killing me.
Isn't it Jackson?
Yeah,
no,
Jack.
Yes,
Jack Landers. Yep. Yeah, I would love to see Jack there. I would love to see Sky.
And the thing about Battle
Omega.
The thing about Battle for the Grid is like they're actually doing what do you call it there? They put characters in there that you might not like in the show, then you play them and you're like, oh my god, they're actually really fun characters. And that's what and it's a small development team working on it too, so that's why it takes us. And the funny thing is, it actually doesn't take them as long to put characters out, because one time, their last one that they had, they released one every month, everything, which was nuts. Where you look at something like Street Fighter V, which is a AAA development company from Capcom, and they got the money for that, they take forever. And same with Smash Brothers from Nintendo. Sakurai and team, they take months. When one character comes out, you ain't seeing another one for like 4 or 5 months, if not more, maybe 6 months. But Battle for the Grid pumped them out every, like, you know, like in one go, like every month, like October, November, and December. It's like Daishi, Quantum Ranger, and Doggy Kruger, I believe. But yeah, so like I actually wanted to move on to like another subject too, because I know we're talking about a lot of the other ones so far. We'll talk about your favorite team up, like our favorite team up episodes.
Okay.
anything. So you go first with that. What's some of your favorites?
My favorite team. I mean, Forever Red is definitely going to be number one, just because I feel like that one just absolutely is the pinnacle. Like that's what a team up should be. If I had to pick like a solid two that I liked, I'll pick three. I'm gonna pick the first team up, which was In Space and Lightspeed Rescue. No, Lost Galaxy, excuse me, with the Psycho Rangers. I thought
That was beast.
perfect.
Yeah, that was handled very well.
So good.
That was that a 3-parter or a 2-parter?
Well, Psycho Pink comes back in that one because Deviant finds her still living and kind of like reprograms her to be like a legitimate just killing machine. So I think it was a 2-parter, I want to say. I'm just gonna, they're in no order, just so you guys know, but another one I love, again, Lost Galaxy and Lightspeed. I love that Drakina comes back. I love that Olympius poisons her and makes her that monster. I was like, damn, she legitimately is just a monster now. She's not even human.
What she was.
Yeah. And the final one would be I feel like it's going to be Reinforcements from the Future, Wild Force and Time Force.
Yep.
I thought that one was so good. The Dugorgs that Rancic finds and Rancic becomes good. I'm like, oh, this is like a complete circle where it's like everything comes back to normal.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that was crazy. That one. And I guess for me personally, yeah, we'll go over some of mine. My number one favorite is Reinforcements from the Future. Because you take an existing storyline that did end on a semi-happy note and everything, like Eric and West team up to become the leaders of the Silver Guardians, and everybody else goes back to the future with Rancic. Rancic surrenders. He has like this revelation of like what he's done is very, very horrible and very terrible, and they leave it at that. But then they bring them back for this to deal with the Mute Orgs and all that jazz, and it is a story that wraps up the story of Time Force, really, and advances the Wild Force Rangers in many ways, and it's done in a great 2-parter, because that's the thing you need. We'll talk about this a little bit later more, but it's definitely a 2-parter is what you need for these team ups. And I would say one of my other favorite ones, obviously Forever Red is there, but because of all the other good ones we've gotten in time, like that's kind of a little bit lower on my list. It's definitely my top 5. It's probably like my number 5, but I really love the Dino Thunder Ninja Storm team up.
I like that one. Yeah, that was definitely a good one. I wish Ninja Storm got one, because I don't think they did with Wild Force.
No, I think they skipped that, actually, now that I think of it.
Yeah, that would have been cool. I would really like that, but I enjoyed Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder, right?
Yep, Dino Thunder.
Yep. Yeah, because I don't remember too much of Dino Thunder. I think I fell off at that point and then came back in SPD.
That for me, that was like where Dino Thunder was where like I kind of like was seeing the series kind of go back to its roots, but it still was mature in many ways, but had that same cheese and everything. And I thought it was handled very well, and I always loved how they handled that whole season. And I think the team up from that was really good. As weird as it sounds, I love the Power Rangers Masked Rider team up. Like, I actually enjoy that.
I mean,
even though the show didn't last long,
you look back on that and you realize how iconic that really was. Like when we were younger, it's just like, oh, cool, you know what I mean? But then like when you really like are an adult, you're like, oh, holy shit,
yeah.
Like that was Masked Rider. Why the fuck was he so stupid? Why did they do this?
Yeah, it's like, cause like, again, as a kid in the 90s, the internet wasn't like it is today. So you didn't really know what Kamen Rider was. You didn't know where this bug on a motorcycle was coming from and everything like that. You had no idea. So something like that was really cool. But again, like, there was so many shows that tried to copy Power Rangers, like VR Troopers, Superhuman Samurai, Cyber Squad, all those ones, Big Bad Beetleborgs, which was actually really fucking awesome.
I love Big Bad Beetleborgs. I love it. I will fight anyone who says they're not cool. I'll be like, listen, we're going to debate right now.
I will say I didn't really like the haunted house monster shit and everything like that. That kind of got old pretty quick. But all the other stuff I really did enjoy in that show. And I think that's on Netflix as well now, too. but that should have been a fucking crossover that happened.
Yeah, no, 100%. They literally should have done more with that. I mean, even going back to the Kamen Rider Dragon Knights, like the American version, that should have took off.
That's right. There was that one. I forgot about that. I think Gladys was telling me about that one actually.
And I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, how did you guys not cash in on this? This is literally what Power Ranger fans want. They want dark, they want gritty, they want like mature adult themes, and that's what Kamen Rider is.
Yeah, it's a lot more darker and stuff, and and one of the reasons, and like that's why I think that it would do. I'm surprised it just didn't take off. I'm trying to think of some other team ups I really liked. Oh my god, I know this one is from an era that nobody wants to talk about, but I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle mashup.
That had so much potential.
Oh yeah, it had potential.
It really did. I just feel like it kind of fell flat on their face, man.
Yeah,
I'll be real with you.
Oh yeah, it did. See, here's the problem with that, right? That happened like 7 years too late. By the time 1998 rolled around, Turtle Mania had already died down pretty heavily because Turtles came, like the cartoon got big in 1987 when it launched, and then throughout the early 90s it was still big. But then towards like the final season of that show of the original TMNT, like the entire voice cast left. It was an all new voice cast pretty much doing it. It was a very different show. And it was like 95, I think it finished 96, and then that was kind of like it really wasn't a thing anymore. So they tried with that Next Mutation show where they added the female turtle, and it didn't work on like every freaking level. I think it only lasted like 18 episodes, but they had that crossover, and I was like, if you had done Power Rangers meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles during the Mighty Morphin era, and you got this, and if you got this
gold,
oh my god, dude. Could you imagine if they got the original suits from the movies and fucking like Shredder in the armor and everything like that? Like
that's the thing. It's like the campiness of Mighty Morphin would totally have worked with that.
Oh yeah, because the original TMNT and even that TMNT is campy but dark.
Yeah, no, 100%. But it never fit to me, man. Because I was like watching it, I'm just like, this doesn't fit in like this universe. Because it's just way too like they're literally in the end of days and in space, because it was, as in a sense, it's like, oh, all the League of the Villains are coming together. We got Rita, we got Zed, King Mondo, you got Astronema, you got Dark Spectre. You have all these people coming in. It's like
Master Vile,
Master Vile too. Yeah, Rito, Goldar. You got them all. The whole
Rangers. I love Goldar's voice.
I hated when you became dumb, man.
Oh my god! Like, can we? All right, yeah, we'll move off topic for a little bit here, but yeah, like that whole thing about dumbing him down and fucking dumbing down Lord Zed and everything. Like, parents actually, I think this was true. Like, parents actually wrote in to the show saying, "Hey, that guy with the brain, he's too scary, motherfucker. That was like the coolest thing you ever saw as a child."
The guy's literally just an like exoskeleton of skin and metal, and I'm just like, this guy is so freaking cool. His theme alone scares people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I mean, like when I watched Lord Zed, I was like, when I watched Goldar, and I remember one of my favorite episodes was the Green Candle.
Oh my god!
I think they nailed it. Like they did such a sharp turn from, okay, like let's do community service to, oh, Tommy's gonna die if you don't get this candle. And then it's like, you have to leave like now, like we can't get the candle. And Jason, I love Austin St. John. He's better than Jason David Frank. I'm sorry.
Fight! No, just kidding.
I'm just gonna say it.
Well, he beat him. That's the thing. He beat him.
And I was legitimately like, I saw him sweating in the performance, and they kept it, and I was just like, oh my god, it's like they're really going at it. And like it's a legitimate threat because one, Goldar is a beast. And two, Jason's unmorphed. He's just straight brawling with Goldar right now to try to get a candle, and he can't beat him because Rita set the spell. Like, he can't morph. It was just so good. That, to me, is like what needs to be done. And when they dumb down Goldar and dumb down Zed, I'm like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, like
No.
Kerrigan Mahan, he's the one who did the voice of him. He was amazing, and he was the voice of the Magna Defender too, which was like
Yes,
insane.
sir. That's correct.
Which is
He did a lot
weird.
of voices.
Which I don't understand why. Like in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Kerrigan came back to do Goldar's voice, but not the Magna Defender. So I don't know if maybe it was like a scheduling thing or something like that. But it's
Well, they have him as Mike Corbett.
Huh?
That's the thing.
Well, yeah, but the original
Magna
Magna, like I think this Magna Defender is in the game is the original Magna Defender, not Mike.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, because in Battle for the Grid, I'm pretty sure it's just the basic Magna Defender because they just list him as Magna Defender. Whereas if you play as Jason the Red Ranger, it says Jason, or you choose Dragon Armor Trini, or you know, and because Jason, there was 2 Red Rangers, him and Steve Cardenas, Rocky. So they had to like let you know. So like any kind like time, like they had to let you know these characters in the game. So again, like maybe this could be Mike, like and everything. They just didn't put it in the game. Like they didn't think about that, right? Could have been that, but regardless, it was.
It could have been definitely, and I mean, I'm not complaining. I mean, like I like Mike. Obviously, I prefer Kerrigan's voice actor. You know what I mean? Because Mike just doesn't have the power of Magna Defender's voice, really, where it's like you feel his like seriousness. With Mike, it's there, but it's not.
Yeah.
There.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, like I mean, it's there, and he does a good job for when he's there. Funny, I don't know if you saw that recently. Like you know, the guy who played Mike, Magna Defender, he's a cook now.
Yeah, I saw that, and I did see that. I didn't get to react to it or anything, but I was just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
I mean, like, that's the thing. A lot of actors have side hustles and have like side jobs. So a lot of people don't realize that we're also humans and we need to eat.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, no, I think he's like a gourmet. Like from I checked out his webpage and the stuff that he does. And it looks like he like travels for cooking for people and everything too. So he looks like he's doing pretty good for himself if you get to travel and cook for people and make all these delicious looking meals.
He hasn't aged either. I'm looking at the picture now. I mean, minus like the beard where he's got some gray. I mean, he really hasn't aged much. You know, I mean, that series was 20 years ago, essentially.
1999. No, 2000. Yeah, 1999 was Lost Galaxy. So,
yeah. So, I mean, probably 22 because he filmed it a year prior. But
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's crazy. You know, he really has not aged. And I mean, that's good on him, you know?
Yeah, a lot of the actors have aged really good. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, and I guess one of the things also to talk about too, about what makes a good team up episode. And in my personal opinion, you have to make it a 2-parter. Forever Red was like the exception to that because I mean, we all know the history of that. Like, you know, there's no need to go into it, but we know that a lot of stuff was left out of the development, like things that were planned for it, but they got left out. But that is like the only exception to this at all is Forever Red. Everything else that's ever been like a one-off like team up episode just feels rushed. And I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on that and everything, but
I do agree a lot of them feel rushed at times, and that kind of always hurts. I feel like the production in the end, where it's just like, oh man, it's like I wish they had more time, or I wish it didn't feel like that. I mean, like maybe they could interact more. You know what I mean? Like if you look at Time Force and Wild Force, I like the fact that Eric and Taylor developed a relationship in a sense.
Yep.
Or a budding one. You had little elements where it's like, what is it? Jason and Cole kind of developed. You saw more development of Jason and Jen. You know what I mean? Because they finally reconnect after X amount of years, you know? And I think that's what's missing is it doesn't feel like the universe is connected.
Yeah, it literally feels like you're just throwing this in here to get people to watch it without any real substance. You know what? It's one of the best examples of that would probably be how they handled Operation Overdrive's 15th anniversary or whatever that was.
Oh God, man! You know,
yeah, just open up that wound. I'm pouring that salt in there.
I hate Operation Overdrive. I'm just gonna be straight with you.
Oh yeah, like everybody does.
I think it's one of the worst, if not. Well, Megaforce is probably the worst, but it's up there. Like it's really bad. And when I watched that team up, I mean, like it just felt so. One, it felt so out of left field. Two, it just why these people?
Yeah, Johnny Young Bosch somewhat makes sense.
I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm really not trying to be a dick. Like they're all great actors. I love the majority of them because I do know who all of them. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I didn't know the actors, but I knew like all those past Rangers. But it's like you couldn't get a team, so you have to settle for these people. Or you use like this Sentai footage and you have to settle for these people. And it like fell on deaf ears to me because it's like,
Fell on deaf ears for a lot of people when they really realized, like when they realized, oh shit, Johnny Young Bosch is back. It's like, as Adam, this is awesome. He's got his morphing powers back. How the hell's he getting back? That's awesome. But then
yeah, that didn't make sense to me because his morph was destroyed in space.
Well, I guess like they did like retcon that. Like, I mean, like not retcon, but like they do explain why he's able to now or stuff like that. I think it was like off camera, like you can find like what it actually had happened. But the fact of the matter is, and everything, like fucking, he like he comes back, Kira comes back, and a couple of the others are really good too. What do you call it there? SPD green,
yeah,
well, red now. He's back
I'm
too.
looking them up right now just to make sure I have an image. Yeah, just looking at this team, man, it just feels like just such a mix match of like.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, like I mean, that's the thing, because that's the first time they've ever really done something like that. Like like whenever it's a team up, it's usually the team from the previous season. But they brought in like 4 different people, or 5, was it? For that one?
Yeah, they brought in 5.
Yeah, 5 different
Johnny
actors.
Dino Thunder Yellow, Mystic Force Green.
Mystic Force Green, yep, that's the one, yep.
SPD Red, who's now his name's killing me. And Ninja Storm Blue. And it just like I just don't get it personally. Like, I mean, like I understand what they were going for. They wanted that like, oh, this is cool, or we got a 15th anniversary. Let's bring in a Ranger from each team, but I just thought it was dumb, honestly. I'm like, this is just kind of stupid.
Yeah, like it just didn't work on like every level possible. And just kind of be like, it's like how they're introduced and stuff. It's like, I have brought these past Rangers here to replace you, and it's like, oh well, fuck us then, okay.
I just don't.
Yeah, that whole thing didn't work. And even with a 2-parter, it didn't work. But that's the thing, like a 2-parter needs to be about why would these characters come back in this 2-parter, right? Why would they need to be here, or even a 3-parter and stuff like that? Megaforce also screwed it up because the first part really, didn't have too much of the original returning Rangers, if I remember right, because part 2 was all of them saving everybody, like as civilians. They were all saving every people that were trapped everywhere, and then showed up at the end of the thing, and they all took off their helmets. It was a really cool thing to see, and to see all these like veterans come back. But then you go into the actual fight, and it's all heavily CGI'd of them bouncing around and doing all this stuff where there's barely any actual like real non-edited fight footage. And again, what do you call it? The Lost Galaxy team up one with in space. That's like one of the best ones you could ask for. Reinforcements from the Future, another fantastic one. Even when, like, as much as I feel it's kind of weak, but I feel that the teams kind of work pretty good together. The Dino Thunder team up with SPD was pretty good too. And again,
that one was great. That one was great. I love the fact that Tommy kind of wasn't,
present.
Yeah, he wasn't there, but it's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, he wasn't there and shit because they probably couldn't get him back for whatever reason, but. Which is strange because you know him. He always likes to come.
At the 25th anniversary one because I really wanted to refresh my memory about like who was present there, and I'm looking at this, man, and it just seems like, again, just such a mismatch of Rangers. Like I see Cassie and I see TJ, which I'm super pumped to see because I remember them. I was like, oh yeah, that was cool. You see Trent, so I'm like, okay, that's cool. Jason's obviously there. You have Gemma from RPM, Silver. You have Gia. You have Rocky.
Which was cool. They actually let Rocky be in a fucking team up episode. So
I'm happy. I'm not a big Rocky fan, but I am happy that he was there because it's like it's nice to see him get like a little rub. It's like, oh, cool, Rocky's here. Like he gets a spotlight for once because I feel like he's always going to be in Jason's shadow and other Jason David Frank shadow.
Yeah, well, there was that whole episode where where they were so happy to have Jason come back to the show as the Gold Ranger, and like everybody was hanging out with him and training with him, and Rocky felt ignored and stuff. So like that was actually kind of a cool thing that they did to show it's like, nah, man, like, you know, just because he's back doesn't mean we're replacing you or anything. Because even like when he came in as the Red Ranger, at that point in the series, the Red Ranger wasn't a big deal because they gave that role to Tommy for whatever reason. Like I still, even as a kid, I'm just like, wait a minute. So this guy loses his power. I mean, granted, it was a very heroic way and how everything was done. But now he comes back as the White Ranger. He's been MIA. Jason's been kicking ass with like the Dragon Shield and the Dragon Dagger. And now he gets replaced for no reason. Zordon's like, I hope you were all happy with the new leader of the Power Rangers. And it's like, you giant floating ass head this motherfucker.
Awesome. Jason Scott, 1994.
Yeah, like, it's just, you know, it was really ridiculous that they did that. Because, like, you know, Jason had been leading that team the whole time. He had gone like above and beyond, and I was just kind of like, that's kind of a shady thing to do. Now I don't know if that was during the time where like they started having the pay dispute, you know, like the
that was around the time, yeah.
Oh, so maybe that's why they decided to change it then and stuff. But you know, like I said, back in with like the team ups, you just need team ups to have some kind of substance to them. Two-parters are fine. One just doesn't work. Like I'm gonna say it right now, I was excited when I heard that Austin St. John was coming back as Jason for Beast Morphers, because I know the movie that was based off of, and I seen like the like one where like they get all the Rangers together and they do the transformation thing. But remembering how the last few team ups went and how they were all one episodes pretty much, and even if they were two-parters, it might as well felt like one episode. It really worried me. I'm like, I don't think they're going to do a good job. And they brought Austin St. John back, and they did nothing with it. He didn't even have an unmorphed fight. He at least had that in Forever Red.
Right.
They brought him back and everything, and they're just like, Jason, it's good to meet you. And like, you know, the Red Ranger from Dino Charge comes in and goes, we don't have time for introductions. And I'm like, motherfucker, this is the OG Red Ranger. Show some goddamn motherfucking respect.
Yeah, like, I'll be 100% real with you. I legitimately watched that on, because I don't watch it on TV. I watch it streaming sites or wherever I can find it. I almost literally just turned it off when I saw that. I was just like, this motherfucker.
Yeah, we don't know.
So long to see Jason come back, and the guy says, "There's no time. Sorry."
Yeah,
who the fuck are you?
Yeah, it's like, do you know what this motherfucker done for years and everything? He went fucking toe to toe with everyone. Like he fought monsters by himself.
and I'm just like, it's like, wow, it's like, I bet Jason is so glad to be back. You know what I mean? It's like, great, another way to like stick it to him. You know what I mean? Hey, great job. Listen, so he's gonna tell you like, you don't matter.
Yeah.
Who is he?
Yeah, I was just like, and like they don't explain like that. Obviously we know that like this is another the one that this past season Beast Morphers came from is from, I think they're set in a different universe too, but they know of the other Rangers, obviously. And, you know, so Jason comes in. We don't even find out what Jason's been doing for all these years. Anything. Yep. Somehow he's got a morpher again. And I'm just like, I was like, where did you get that from? Did you borrow that from Rocky again? Like, for like what the hell is going on here?
Man, I'm telling you, man, I just thought it was such like a shitty like way to like bring him back, and like you legitimately have a guy we've all wanted to see, and you just be like, oh yeah, there's no time. Oh, you don't get another more fight. Great. Okay. Cool. Let's get it done, right? And that's why, to me, Beast Morphers failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
one thing if it's like Jason David Frank, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like if they literally told him, "Hey, no time for introductions," I would laugh. I'd be like, "Ah, cool," because we all know who Jason David Frank is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you bring in Austin St. John, I would rather see him get like a little introduction for people who don't know who he is.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing, is the fact that they botched that. You know, and I kind of felt like, even like I said, like going in, like I was excited to hear it, but then as time went on, I was like, I don't think this is going to be good. Given the past, I don't think it's going to be good. And then the fact that you barely saw Austin St. John talk about it on any social media or promote it at all, and I'm like, this is just going to be like a glorified cameo, and I hate that. Now maybe they did that because he is busy like voicing stuff in video games. He's been doing movies and everything like that. I know, so, like, you know, working on different projects, and he's been traveling. So like, I do get that. Like if that was the reason why they had to make it as short as they did, I would understand. You know, because they gotta fly him out to New Zealand, which is where they shoot the show, pretty much, mostly anyway.
Yep.
So I get it. It just at that point I'm like, man, you guys gotta start changing shit around, because you're the ones, like, the fans aren't destroying the show. It's the people, the showrunners, like the people who aren't like putting up. I mean, like I said, Beast Morphers had more real footage, less Sentai. So, and that's what a lot of these team ups do. They're pretty much, all the team ups are pretty much like no actual like Sentai footage. Like Forever Red was all like American.
Yeah.
And that was all made just to show off that one toy that nobody bought.
I know.
Anything, which I always laugh. I was like, yeah, you made it out to just be about a toy, but it became one of the greatest things in the world. And again, more proof right fucking there that you have that these things can work if they're done the right way. And I don't know, I just feel it's one of the reasons why I'm very happy we have the comics, right? Between the
best things.
Yeah, like between the one they originally started like 3 years ago, just the regular Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Boom Studio ones, then the Go-Go Power Rangers one, which is very interesting, I guess, because I've seen pictures of Jason and Trini kissing, and I'm like, oh, this is good. Alrighty then. Let's see what I had to start reading Go-Go Power Rangers at one point, and then they have like, what was it? They had the Soul of the Dragon thing where it was pretty much like Old Man Logan, but with JDF.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had stuff like that, and then there's the I think there was one with the Space Rangers. I think like it was the Psycho Green one, and now they have a Time Force one coming out.
Yeah, I don't know. I did see that.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, it had Jen and Wes on there and everything like that, and I was just like, oh my god. So like, the comics are doing it right because it's being controlled by people who understand the source material, and they give characters that may not have had the characteristics before a chance to evolve. Like Zack almost went evil, for crying out loud, in the early issues of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger ones. Rita almost got him to like come over to their side.
And I thought that was so perfect because it's like you kind of could see it if you like as an adult, if you really dig into this series, you could see it and be like, huh, they forgot his birthday. You know what I mean? He's always kind of feels like an outsider. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It doesn't, like, because Billy and Trini have the thing. Tommy has this. I mean, yeah, Jason was his friend. You know what I mean? But Jason's also kind of like a loner.
He was originally like written as being like the shy, like quiet type and everything, or whatever that was.
Yep. So, I mean, just in my opinion, I think like that's just really good story writing, and that's what's needed. That's what's missing with Power Rangers right now because there's no good story. I was watching a review of a fan of Unworthy, and he was talking about Beast Morphers, and he said, I hate what they're doing in the current seasons. Like, you finally have access to the Morphin Grid after all these years, and you're making gasoline from it. Like, to me, that's just the stupidest thing. It's like, why can't you just bring back past villains? Why can't, like, the new team fight this? Or, like, you have a team up with, like, I hate to say Megaforce, or I hate to say, like, Dino Charge. But I mean, like, a team from, like, the past who you could bring in, like, just to have, like, a cool moment or something like that. But instead, it's just, like, they're just using it for, like, to fund the city and stuff with gasoline and energy. I'm like, that's so dumb.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Up. All right, we gotta stop. Okay, so yeah, I didn't get the part. All right, so
that's how you call it right there, because you didn't get the part. Okay, I hate to do this, but yeah, I actually had to do the screenings for the final 3 candidates. And that guy, Tony, who got cast, it was so weird because, like, I heard his audition. I was just like, this guy sounds like Gears of War. Like, where did you find this guy? And I just looked him up, Tony, and he's like, looks just like me. Like some scrawny, like nerdy guy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Here I am expecting like some bald, burly man who's like got a scar, like an eye patch, being like, damn, this guy is like hard and this guy's seen some shit. No, it's just like, who's this guy?
Well, I'm gonna go hang myself. No, just kidding. No, this is acting, man. This happens. Honestly, Christopher Heaton, man. Like, I haven't heard the voice role because I don't want. Like, it might not sound good if I play it right here on the mic and shit like that. But congratulations to you, dude. Like, that's friggin' awesome. I am happy like that I was just able to. Honestly, I was just happy to try out for it. Anything because I sent you my my audition and stuff like that, and you were impressed by it. And I had like
I mean, the one thing that I was impressed with yours, Tony, was the fact that you knew protocols right away and everything. So that's a big thing. Like if they have prior knowledge to an audition or experience in the field, it's a big help. Like
yeah.
I've seen so many people who like do military or combat type auditions. They don't know how to hold a gun. They don't know formations. They don't know like protocols. And I'm just like, you're taking me out of it. You know what I mean? It's like, cause now in my head, I want to jump in and be like, oh, you should do it like this. Or you should hold the gun like that. Cause I mean, I was taught by Marines for a film back in the day. So I had to learn. And Tony, you nailed all the military stuff right away.
Oh yeah. Well, I come from a military background of like my family and stuff, and the guys who trained me were like Marines and everything. So, and one's a Navy man himself.
That was one thing I liked about yours, and I still stand by the fact that I think you should do voice acting. You should.
Oh yeah, no, I've been actually working on like getting a voice role thing together. Like I've been doing like impersonations of like characters I grew up doing and stuff like that, and then I'll do like one where it's just like me acting, but. I do have that coming, but yeah, dude. Again, for the guy who got that job, dude, like I was just glad that like you guys listened to my audition because I don't like special treatment or none of that stuff. So I wasn't sure if it would be heard, but you guys like went through apparently like from what I saw in Unworthy, they like said it's like yeah we got like over like 200 plus like voices and everything to go through. So like we'll go through it and stuff, and so I was just like shit. I'm just glad they're actually giving me a chance out of all those fucking people.
Yeah, man. I mean, the thing is too is like don't think like you were lower on the audition totem pole either. I mean, like I heard from Jordan, he had some really bad ones. You know what I mean? No disrespect, just saying like some of them were really bad.
Well, I'm sure people just want to try out because they want to try out. Like people don't have a lot of acting experience like you do, or the acting experience that I have and stuff. So
it was funny. I mean, I had one guy, he messaged me privately, and he was like, it was on my Facebook, and he sent me auditions and. Oh man, I couldn't tell him. I don't know what was going through his mind, but he started talking like this. He's like, "Lord Dragon, I'm here." I'm like, why are you doing that, my man? It's
he
like,
sounds like a possessed prospector for that. Like,
yeah, he really sounded like he was possessed or like some type of like it was hoarse. His verse was so hoarse. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Like
And
for
I heard his natural voice. I'm just like, it's not bad. I mean, like definitely with some training, you could definitely do this. But I heard that. And the worst part was he sent me 3 videos in his car doing these. So right there, I'm already turned away because it's like, you're not taking this seriously by recording in front of a mic.
Yeah, like you can't record off a phone. Even like some phones have like good mics on them and stuff, but you can't beat stuff like that you and I have and everything because of the work, the voiceover and acting work you do, and the work that I do with the row and my podcasts and all this other stuff too. So, but like the one thing, like, the one thing
I felt so bad because like when he sent me the 3 videos, I didn't acknowledge the first one or the third one because they were just so awful. I was just like, the second one was pretty good, man. You know what I mean? Like, definitely work on your breathing. Try doing it standing up next time. You know what I mean? If you need help buying equipment, I can definitely show you the route to go and send you some sites. Basically, just like trying to teach him because I was just like, oh, I don't want to acknowledge those 2. I don't want to. Yeah, I'm gonna erase those from my memory.
Yeah, like the thing is like, I mean, the thing is you got to tell people the truth. If you don't like, okay, so this is something that a lot of people have said that like I shouldn't say because like I'm gonna get smacked, but like. If you're dating somebody, right, or you got a do I look fat in this dress? You tell them yes. And a lot of people are like, dude, do you want to get kicked in the nuts? And I was like, let me finish. If you tell people the truth now, it's going to hurt them less later. Because, and it's like I said, like I've told people this. I was like, if your girlfriend says that, and then like you end up going to a wedding with her, and months later you get the photos back of you dancing at the wedding and stuff, and she doesn't like how she looks in the dress, she's gonna turn to you and say, why did you tell me I look thin in that dress? I look fat in this. And it's just like, I tell people that it's like, it's better to take the blows now than take it later. And a lot of my female friends were just like, oh my god, he's right about that. You men need to start telling us these things. Well, sure, we'll chew you out, but it's gonna be worse on you later if you lie.
Yeah, no, I tell people that all the time. I like will straight up tell them like if they're gonna ask me for opinions, I'm like, listen, I'm blunt. I'm not gonna like I don't. I mean, like, I'm gonna tell you this right now. If anyone who wants to become an actor, any potential young actors out there, like, if you're expecting people to be kind to you in this business, you're not.
No,
They're not gonna be kind.
it's a reason why it's a cutthroat business.
Yeah, I
But
tell people all the time, I was like, "Listen, I'm gonna be straight with you because, like, they're gonna do the same thing to you when they get there, probably worse." It's
yeah,
like, I'm
like
trying to be your friend, just telling you, like, you need to do it this way, and some people listen, some people don't, and they'll learn the hard way. I mean, at the end of the day,
yeah, no, it happens. And
like,
the thing about this audition was I went in knowing that even though this is like a fan thing, and because like it's a fan thing, and it's all people who don't really have a lot of big acting experiences and stuff like that. It's still like you need some kind of level of like not professionalism, but like, you want things to sound as best as you can get, right? And I'm sure
right.
that guy sounds really fucking good if he got the spot and everything, because I thought my performance was good, but I also knew, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm going to get this, but if I don't, it ain't going to be the end of the world, And
I mean, Tony, I'll send you both his auditions because he did two.
ooh, okay.
I can at least share this. They did a second round of auditions because they weren't sure who to pick up. So they sent four people for me and Jenna to review,
And
and
you guys are
they
fair,
were all
so
great. I only didn't like one of them just because I felt like he sounded too young, and I when people read lines, sometimes I just tune out if they do something wrong. And he did, like, I think he, like, laughed for too long. I'm just like, and I don't understand why this guy is laughing for so long. This guy is a very stoic, no nonsense guy, so that kind of turned me out.
yeah.
But they did a second round audition. In the second round, they called for different levels of emotion, like some comedic, some emotional, where it's like you're losing someone. And it's funny because originally we didn't like this guy. We were not didn't like him, but we thought he was too gruff for the role, like too like deep. It was like, oh, he's a little too deep.
Ah.
So originally we were liking this other guy, but then we did the second audition. I said to Jordan right away, I was like, Jordan, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's like he doesn't have the emotional range to be sad. And Jordan agreed with me. He's like, we're on the same page. He's like, I heard it and it toned me out. And he felt bad because he's like, he was the guy we wanted to, but he's just like, yeah, he just didn't hit it. And that's a big thing that I think most voice actors don't get, is it's not just, can you do an impression? Can you do an accent? It's like, can you do this while having the emotion behind it? Sadness, happiness, anger, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's more than just doing that. You have to be like versatile. I mean, like for my audition, honestly, like I was just like, well, I've heard how he sounds in Battle for the Grid, and I just remember I was like, wait a minute, Kyle Higgins was the one who voiced him. Kyle Higgins is the one that does like pretty much all the work for like the Boom Studio Comics, or at least did. I think he moved on from that. But he was the voice actor for the Mastodon Sentry in Battle for the Grid. So I seen it, I'm like, it's pretty good, but something's missing. So I took the voice work of what do you call it there? His name's Kevin Dorman. He actually was the voice actor for Chris Redfield in the Resident Evil Vendetta movie. And he was Chris Redfield one other time in the Resident Evil stuff. I think like way back in like 2007, he was Chris Redfield in the Umbrella Chronicles. But I kind of like copied how he did, because Chris Redfield's all military and stuff like that. Kind of got a deep voice and everything. So I listened to that. I kind of copied a little bit, and then I went to Hunk in Resident Evil, because pretty much Hunk has only been voiced by one guy, and his name is Keith Silverstein. Well, Keith Silverstein is an amazing actor, by the way. He was trying to think. He's Hawkmoth in the Miraculous Ladybug. He was the villain in the My Hero Academia movie, the first one.
Yep.
Everything. His range is great, and in Resident Evil, when he plays Hunk, it's a character that's nicknamed Mr. Death because Hunk lives through all the worst missions. He's the only one who survives. And they call him Mr. Death, Dr. Death, the Grim Reaper. And so he has like this really like low tone to him and everything, and nothing really shakes him. So like I'm like, this is a guy who's been through shit, and he's seeing zombies and these nightmarish creatures, and he's not affected by them. Yeah. Anything. For the first time ever, he's seeing this shit, and it doesn't affect him. So I'm thinking the Mastodon Sentry, if this Sentry is going to be like the leader or something like that, I thought about it. I'm like, if he's going to be like the leader of a group or something like that, he's got to be like stoic. He's got to be tough. He's got to be like, I kind of based a little bit on his, what do you call it there? The guy who played the drill instructor in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. I definitely got a vibe from that.
I kind of threw a little bit of that into there as well. And I will say, this is the fun part of the audition. I was trying to think. I was like, well, he's probably going to sling insults at one point and everything like that. So I remembered from a Digimon episode long ago with Edamon, where Edamon was just ticked, and Richard Epcar, who voices Edamon, who does a Elvis-like impression for the character, because the character's a singing monkey. There was a thing where he's just like, all right, now I'm going to cancel you like I cancel a bad sitcom. I'm just like, I want to use that line, but I want to make it more serious.
I didn't want to say it because I was just like, that's Edamon. I was like, I've heard that before. I was just like, it's not that accent, but I definitely heard that. And I was just like, oh, you son of a bitch.
I had to do it because that was such a great villain. But, like I said, to the guy that got it, I can't remember his name right now, but dude, congrats on getting it. You're joining one hell of a team, because I talked to Jordan about stuff and everything, and he's a cool dude and shit. And this guy, he's gonna have a lot of fun. Christopher, that's the name. Sorry, it just came back into my mind. But congrats to you, dude. I'm sure you guys will probably wait. Did they say they're gonna have more voice auditions in the future? I think. Oh yeah. And because we want another dude. Oh yeah, they're gonna do a more open casting in the future. So I'll give it a shot again in the future. But
yeah, they're definitely gonna have more roles, man. I've already been told they're keeping some people on files because they like what they do. They just don't fit these roles.
Yeah, of course.
That's a big thing to keep in mind. You know what I mean? It's not just.
Well, since it's out in the open now, how close was I?
I mean, I don't know personally because they only sent me 4 people.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll just message Jordan. I was like, dude, I need it. I just need to know, how close was I? Just give me that.
So there was about 200 people.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I need to know where I placed though.
I say top.
Top what?
No, I'm thinking. I probably want to say top 30, top 25. You know what I mean?
I'll take that. I was banking on top 50, but okay. That was really that good, huh?
Just because a lot of these people who want to audition, I'm looking at them, their pictures and how old they are, and I'm just like, you guys aren't the age range. You know what I mean? And you guys, literally so many comments were, I'm not an actor, but I'll definitely try. You know what I mean? So that automatically right there kind of, I guess, pushes me away as an actual actor and someone who's done castings. I was just like, it's just when someone says that, it's kind of almost like a friend wanting to be a part of your project, but you don't know if said friend's going to be serious.
Yeah, that's why for me, when I do photo shoots, I some of my friends they'll say, oh yeah, I'd love to be in on that, and it's like, dude, you're not right for the part and everything. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. That's why I was very, very when it came to the Street Fighter shoot that I did, I really wanted to make sure that was done right, because Street Fighter means a lot to me in my life. So I was just I want to get the right people for this. And Mia already had the outfit and everything, if I remember correctly. So it was a perfect thing for her. Plus, you are all friends with her too, so the chemistry right there would be perfect. And Bambi being Ken, the gender bend Ken, was fucking perfect. Everything, and she followed directions on how to throw kicks and punches, and she did everything I asked her to do. And you as Vega, I just needed a guy who was tall, lanky, but also fucking cut and can do fucking sprints and all the crazy shit Vega does. And you nailed that. And that's why, because I was like, I know Logan can do this.
You know how much badly I wanted to clap? I know, obviously, hey, don't shoot me. It's just an idea. I'm like, if I actually had the opportunity, if I was given permission, if this was an actual closed set, and we had permission, if I could jump off the Chinatown entrance, climb it and jump off like Vega does, oh, that would have been beautiful. But I know, obviously, hey, respect, you know what I mean, to the culture that is my own. I was just saying, if I had the opportunity and was given full-on permission by people who run the community and everything, and if it was for a shoot, I would be
there was where near the front, where those benches were, right? They had the trees that were planted inside the in that potted area. So you had a wall that you could step up on. So if people would have gotten out of the way, or if that one guy wasn't just shouting nonsense at us and everything, the one I had Nick keep an eye on while we were there, you could have just done a running jump off that, right? And I could have had Mia down in one of Chun-Li's poses and stuff, and the angle I would have caught that at, you would have been so high in the air. I mean, you're gonna get air anyway because you're so tall, and everything. So like that was great. But that's like why, like like when I do these specific shoots, I'm very careful about who I choose. And I think for when it came time for Unworthy, I think they chose you for the right reason or anything, because you're skilled for one. Like you know what you're doing, because you still have to technically act when you're in the suit. You still gotta like throw your voice out there, right?
Well, yeah, the one thing that I think really was a nice moment for me was so I mentioned this to Jenna actually, that it was hard for me to do the fight scene as Chrono because with the fog, it blurs my vision
Right.
inside the mask. So it's like blurred on the outside, and from my breath on the inside, it's also blurred. So I couldn't see at times in that mask, in the helmet. So that was a big thing. Like doing that spinning back fist took a solid 10 to 15 takes because I could not find, I couldn't make contact because I just kept missing. Because I was like, where is he? You know what I mean? I know he's straight ahead, but at times I'd be like either too far out or too close.
Yeah.
So what came really easy for me was getting the voice down because I studied the script like a madman. I made it like a goal. I'm like, I'm gonna read with this person, I'm gonna read with this person, I'm gonna read with that person to get a feel of like, okay, this is what different people are gonna act like with this character.
Of course.
And I remember Jordan messaged me once. He said, like, I loved your body work as Chrono because the one scene he loved the most was with Jenna, where it's like you just grip your fists. Like those subtle movements were so good. But I think my personal favorite was so this is a fun fact for you. The scene where I'm talking to them, like when they're all in a group sitting down in front of me, that was the last shot we shot, all of them, in after like a solid, God, 10 to 12-hour day at least, not counting drive time. So it was funny because Jordan was a little stressed because it was like getting close to time because the sun was going down. Obviously, you can't shoot now because we're losing continuity.
Yeah.
I said to him, Jordan, I know all three of my monologues. He's like, just keep shooting continuously. Get them all out of the way. And I remember I just kept going and going and going. And I remember out of like my peripheral vision, because I kept moving around to each ranger to make sure I'm acknowledging them. I caught Jordan because he had his mask off and he's just staring at me like almost like, holy shit, he's got them all. And he looked to Jenna because Jenna was the one who brought me in. And I think he was trying to be like, he's like, oh my God, it's like you struck gold with this guy. So that really meant a lot to me. Where it's like, I know that, yes, I'm not a martial artist. My skills come from guns and swords, but I'm also an actor. So that's where like my skill set comes into play.
Yeah. So yeah, because like I mean, you did such a good job with that, and like like when I saw it, and it's not easy when whether you're in the suit as a ranger or you're a suit in a monster, it's tough. Because I remember I asked Ruben Langdon about that when I talked to him before. I was like, dude, like how some of those suits I seen like the actors do like jumping back spin kicks and all this crazy stuff in the suits. How do you see in them when it's like that? And he's just like, it's all about practice. If you just practice it numerous times, you know where the person's going to be, so you know where to kick and you know where you won't hit him in the head. And I was like, damn, dude, like that's crazy. Like, I mean, like I thought that could be something that could be done out of a suit. I knew that, but in a suit, just where like you have like an extra like 5 layers of clothing on, because they brought those suits over from Japan and everything too. So like it was kind of. It was like, it was always so crazy.
That's
like
one thing I think a lot of people don't get is it's a lot harder than it looks. Like, yeah, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I absolutely adore it. And I will do it again in an absolute heartbeat. But I really think people, because a lot of people want to be Power Rangers. I get messages all the time, like, how do I become Power Ranger? And like, I mean, for one, I trained for 5 years straight and everything was dedicated to becoming a Power Ranger. So I tell people that I'm like, you really got to work, but they don't get that. Like once you become one, you still got to train. You still got to practice.
You got to keep it all up.
Especially with Chrono, because I mean, Chrono has every weapon pretty much. So I got to learn like, okay, what's this weapon like? What's that weapon like? What's this gun like? Is this a shotgun, assault rifle, pistol?
Exactly. So like, there's a lot to it. And, you know, you got to stay in shape when you're a ranger, because sometimes, like, you know, like the everything you're doing and stuff is just so physically demanding, and you gotta do it. Because like nowadays, like I said, like in the early days of Power Rangers, you know, yeah, like you had like I mean, you look at some of the older casts, like some of them were like jacked, especially like David Yost. Like everyone thought he was the nerd, but as like time went on, like they started showing his arms more, and he was more jacked than it seemed like some of the other cast
he was a big
members.
guy.
Yeah, so like
Jason too, Austin St. John, he was really in shape. Like people underestimate how like truly in shape he was, and he wasn't even an actor. That's the craziest part. He was just in shape, and he was a great martial artist, and then he became an actor.
yeah, so like that was kind of like a big thing. But now, you know, like back then too, you know, they didn't do, I'm not saying they didn't do as much, but like you look at it now, they're outside the suits a little bit more, because whenever came time for the suits in the original show, it was never really them in it most of the time. It was just somebody else in a suit, and they just did the dub lines over. Because you remember in the command center, they never took their helmets off, or if they morphed,
Yep.
or if they were in a fight.
Dude, I hated that.
Yeah, like that was
like, this is so shitty.
I was like, you can't get them in the suits, really? Now, maybe these were the suits straight from Japan. Maybe they didn't make them at that point, right? Because obviously the cast members are all of different height and weight and size and everything. So, as you said earlier in this podcast, a lot of them are like 5'10" and shorter. So, and obviously, you know, some of them probably aren't as bulky as some, you know, some. I think in one of the Sentai shows, the Pink Ranger was done by a guy.
Yeah.
Anything.
I think it was Yellow. Yellow's usually a male.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, in terms of like stunt, like a stuntman in a suit.
Oh, stunt. Oh man, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think one of the Pink Rangers was actually like the female one was actually like a guy in one of the suits, which was funny to see, because it's just like, oh, he must be like a very slender build then if they have him being a Pink Ranger and stuff. So obviously he's very acrobatic.
Totally, you know what I mean? I've seen a lot of slender males.
Yeah,
who are stunt actors, so I mean, it could totally work.
Yeah, so like, you know, it was just like, but like nowadays it's just like the actors are on screen now more than ever, and they are in the suits when they take the helmets off and stuff. Now, sometimes I still think that, like, you know, when it comes to fight scenes, obviously it's not them in there, and it's just the fight, it's just the guys in the suit, the stuntmen learning the lines and then doing the fights, and then, you know, when the helmets come off, they obviously will switch the screen out and everything, because everybody's like, helmet and hair looks perfect. And let's face it, if you've ever worn a baseball hat or a helmet or a Darth Vader helmet and stuff like that, you take that thing off and like your hair is everywhere. You've got helmet hair and all that.
Yeah, like, a lot of people get that. So like, a lot of thing too, like, it's funny because a lot of people kind of know this and probably some don't, is when you're wearing the the Ranger costume, your whole suit, you have to have an underhood on. So only like what's visible on your face is a circle.
Yep.
Essentially, it's your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. That's it. It's cool because your hair doesn't get caught and your ears don't get caught on the helmet, if like because like it does lock. Either you have the latches or you have the magnets like mine. So I mean, there's a lot of little factors that go into it that I don't think a lot of people really look into.
Yep. Oh, and for the love of God, people, if you're gonna do a Ranger cosplay, wear a dancer's belt, please.
Please.
Like, that is something that
wear
doesn't
some tights underneath too. You know what I mean? Just cover it up, dude. You know what I mean? Like, no one wants to see your junk.
Yeah, like, yeah. I remember. Oh my God, this was like Anime Boston. I want to say like 2013, 2014. I saw a person who was a ranger, it was a Red Ranger, did a really good job, but my God, dude, that dude needed a dancer's belt, because like the bulge and everything was fucking real. And then I saw another Red Ranger, but like he was wearing the dragon armor and everything. Like he had like, and I was like, fucking legit. It was the same con too. And I thought it may have been the same guy and stuff like that. And my friend that was with me, she's like, oh, at least this one's wearing a dancer's belt. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, he is. And there I am staring at some guy's junk, and I'm just like, I hate you. Why did you tell me that? But you know, that was the thing. It's just like, you gotta wear these dancer's belt, guys, because like, you're gonna show off more than you want. And in this day and age, you'll probably get charged with something.
Whether you're cosplaying or whatever.
Yeah.
Kids are gonna come up to you.
Yep.
No matter where you are, because you're a Power Ranger. They're gonna want to take a picture with you. They're gonna want to talk to you. You know what I mean? And it's a little awkward when you're just hanging out there. You know what I mean? Like, dude, just wear a dance belt.
Exactly.
Sorry, it annoys me too because I'm
No,
just like,
it's
oh
true.
my
Like, yeah,
god.
no, like, because I mean, like, like you're an actor, so you understand how things have to be. You want things to be perfect, and I'm a photographer, and I want things to go perfect too. So when you see the imperfections and everything like that, it kind of, for certain things, it drives you nuts. For other things, you're just gonna, all right, we just gotta change that. But other, it's like, dude, get a belt.
No,
um,
really, it's just the thing where it's just like just wear a damn belt. Because I mean, even when I was doing Chrono, like a kid came up to me and everything. You know what I mean? When we were in the parking lot changing into our costumes, I took a picture with him. But I mean, you gotta keep in mind, guys. I had a a dance belt on, two pairs of tights underneath for my legs as well. So I made sure like I was completely covered and everything, and it was fine. But you gotta say like, what if I wasn't wearing that? And these parents had this picture of me with their child who's like ecstatic because he meets a ranger, and first thing they're gonna see is, oh,
well,
the
that's why we have Photoshop.
yeah, let's blur this. Thank God for Photoshop. All right, guys.
Oh
Mom, can
my
we print
god.
this out? Yeah, yeah, sure. Just let me run it through the computer real quick.
Yeah, no, like I've had, I mean, I've had like female friends, like I do shoots for them, and they've almost had like some like minor nip slips and stuff, and I was just like, like I'll just delete the photo, and they're like, nah, send me the photo and we'll edit it out, and I'm like, you still want this photo? And she goes, well, if I edit that part out, it's gonna be fine. I'm like, oh, okay, that's up to you, and stuff, and then they'll send it back to me, and I'm just like, dude, that edit is like flawless, like it looks great. Uh, it was always hilarious, but yeah, I think that's kind of close to the end of this. I mean, we've been at this for like a little over 2 hours now, so
I know I've been looking at my Audacity. We're already out 2 hours and
yeah,
about five
it's nuts.
seconds.
So like,
Two
I
hours,
think
5 minutes, 40 seconds. Jesus.
yeah. Gee, oh my holy crap. So yeah, I
Have
think
fun editing this, Tony.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is what I love. I love when podcasts, because when I did my one, I think it was like episode 4 I did of the fighting games one. It ran for about like 2 hours and 30 minutes with two buddies of mine who are big fighting game guys who are better than I am at them. So like when it's I mean, it's all interesting stuff too, yeah. So, but
How about this? One final question or point. What would you rather talk about? We'll do it for like about 5 or 10 minutes.
okay.
How about that? That's how we can end it. What do you think we could talk about for Power Rangers?
Well, I guess we already know like what we both want from the series going forward. I think maybe we talk about, you know what? I don't think we didn't really even talk about this. I don't think our all-time favorite Ranger. You kind of touched upon it, I think, but
mine's always gonna be Magna Defender, no matter what. I feel like the fact that similar to JDF, you get introduced in 6 episodes, and in those 6 episodes, I feel like that was like the best mini arc of any Ranger prior to JDF, or at least equal to him, because it was just he's just so damn cool. I mean, this guy literally just comes in with a sword that turns into a gun, kills this guy, fights this guy equally, goes off on his own like I'm not working with you guys, beats this guy, beats another guy, beats Fish Face, only loses his power because Mike's energy is too strong, and the Tiki guy, I forget his name, Freaky Tiki, slams his spear into them, which sucks evil energy, and it takes his evil energy, so he's got so much power. It's like, wow, you really were angry. I was like,
yeah. Well, I mean, he had every reason to be. Like his
What is it?
backstory was really tragic.
Oh, dude, if you honestly watch the Sentai,
Oh yeah.
Ginga Man, if you watch his little brother, because it's a little brother in that series, like if you watch his death, it's so much more graphic.
Yeah, it
He
is.
sends his sword straight through his head and chest. I'm like just straight slicing down. It's like I'm like, oh my god.
Clearly not for children.
But even so, if you like go back to Lost Galaxy, I mean, yeah, like the child's voice acting was kind of bad. I'm not gonna be a complete mark and say it was perfect, but keep in mind this kid got electrocuted on a kid show
Yeah.
and just straight died. Like there was no sparks, there was no like little fake explosion. This kid just got shocked.
Yeah, like it was graphic.
And I'll keep in mind, I'm 5 years old watching this, and I was like, oh my god. This. And just one more thing, touching on Lost Galaxy, and then we can go into your favorite Ranger. My favorite moment is watching Linkara's History of Power Rangers. and he's reviewing Lost Galaxy, and they're on the Psycho Pink episode where that sword is like overflowing with energy, and Kendricks is gonna strike it, and he goes, "Oh, why are you guys running? There's no point of being afraid. Kendricks is gonna save the day. We're gonna talk about friendship afterwards," and she just explodes and dies.
Yeah.
And he's literally just like, and it shows a face reveal of him for the first time, and he's just like shocked. He's like, and then it cuts back to the audio, and he's like, so Kendricks is dead. Yeah, I'm not even joking. She literally just dies. And I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I think I just repressed that as a kid when I watched it again in like 2015 or 14 when they like reviewed it. And I was just like, oh yeah, she literally fucking died. She just exploded.
Yeah, so like that was, like that's like where like things like took a turn. She's like, yeah, we've seen this 100 times before. Oh my God.
It's like, wow, we're literally just fucking gonna go for death. Cool.
Yep.
So who is your favorite Ranger, Tony?
This is an easy one, but for years, like I always had like a bunch of different ones. Like I obviously, Green Ranger, gotta love him. He was one of my favorites and everything like that. Still is. He's like definitely probably in like I don't know if he's in my top 5, but he's definitely in my top 10. I gotta do a list on that at one point. But I really did love, Johnny Young Bosch when he came onto the show as Adam, and he took over as the Black Ranger, because like I loved his fighting style and how fast he was, because Johnny Young Bosch is freaking fast. And there's a lot of characters after that I really did enjoy. Like I said, with in Dino Thunder, I really did like the Red Ranger in that. I thought he was a really good Red Ranger because he was a lot different than other Power Rangers. He wasn't obsessed with training and getting stronger. He just wanted to be a normal teenager and play soccer. I thought that was really cool, and he had growth to him. And obviously, trying to think of some of the other ones that I'm surprised I can't think of them off the top of my head. I loved Wes from Time Force. I think he's one of the best Red Rangers of all time. There's other ones out there too. Again, my brain's just kind of fogging right now. But the best number one spot goes to Eric Myers, the Quantum Ranger.
Totally valid. Yep. He's up there for me too.
Because he's not an evil ranger, he's just a dick. And Dan Southworth portrayed that character beautifully. And then he went on to become Virgil from Devil May Cry. And I love the fact that when they put Quantum Ranger in Battle for the Grid, it's literally a trailer that starts off as Lord Zed beating the crap out of his opponent, and all of a sudden you hear "Foolishness, Lord Zed," and I'm like, what? And fucking Quantum Ranger comes down. It's Dan Southworth doing the voice, and he's literally saying Devil May Cry quotes, but putting them in Power Ranger stuff. So instead of saying "I need more power," he goes, "I need quantum power," or more quantum power. He's like, "I'm motivated." Cool. Like, oh, I'm like, oh my God, they get it. Like, this is great. But in the show, it's a guy who had like nothing in his life, and he worked hard to get where he was and still got screwed over a lot and not taken seriously, and kept having to fight. And then you see even in Reinforcements in the Future, he's like, not who he was. He actually relies on Wes as his friend, and he's friends with the rest of the Time Force Rangers. And he saved Wes and his dad. He took a bullet, and you watch how the Quantum Ranger in the Sentai footage dies. It's a lot different, a lot more brutal.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, it's a whole different level compared to what they do in the American version and everything. And I mean, Time Fire was a great fucking Ranger in the Sentai series.
Oh yeah, he was
so good.
He was awesome. Actually, it was funny. What was it? Ken, he just got a Quantum Morpher a while back. We're talking about the one from the show. He didn't get a 3D printed.
He nice. Yeah, that's the best kind when you can get those and stuff. I got my Chronomorpher online. I was just like, I'm never looking back. That's all I need.
He got it, and he was so happy because, like, much like me, like Quantum Ranger is his favorite, and it's the same for me too. And mine's still being made. Nab Cosplay down in Australia, he's gonna be sending it to me at one point, but I'm excited to get. But yeah, no, Eric Myers was just a character I think is like one of the best Rangers because he wasn't evil. He's just a dick. He doesn't play well with others, and when others try to be nice to him, he's just remembered of how he was always left out, even when Wes was trying to be his friend. I think he's just literally a character. Now they do say at one point, I remember like Linkara had said it, and a lot of other people pointed this out too. there's really no turning point when Eric starts being more nice to the Rangers. And I'm just like, well, there kind of is. I think he starts understanding why Wes, like, you know, at one point he starts understanding when he tries to deal with Wes's father. So it's like, I should be doing this. Like, let me do this kind of thing. I think Eric sees what Wes was trying to tell him. You know, like, I think he sees, I think he figures it out why Wes goes against his father, a man who gave him everything when Eric had nothing. I think he starts realizing that Wes's father isn't thinking properly. And I think that's when he starts realizing that the Rangers are who they say they are. They are good people, but he's still very stubborn and set in his ways. He's a guy that doesn't do well with change. So
I'll say this. I think a moment too, there was a turning point for Eric was Jen. I think Jen kind of helped him see a little bit better of what was going on.
That's true. She kind of called him out for being a dick.
Yeah, because she wasn't afraid to. You know
she wasn't afraid of anything.
West was too nice. That's the problem. West was too good-hearted in the sense of he's oblivious to where like he has advantages over people who are poor.
Yeah,
and also the fact that Eric was Asian, but you know, just the fact that he had those advantages of being like wealthy and from a private school, all that, but he didn't really like acknowledge it because he didn't need to. You know what I mean? Like at that point, because he was floating along on dad's money.
So
I will say this: my top 5 Rangers, Eric will definitely be in there. I'm not going to list them, but I'll just throw them in order of how they come to me. Magnet Fender, Eric, Xanaku, and Merrick, because I consider them combined.
yes.
Dylan from RPM, loved him. I thought he was phenomenal at what he did, and Leo Corbett.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I know Leo's gonna be on this list somewhere.
Yep. And then a tie between Carter Grayson and Wes for like 6th.
Yeah, they were again like more Rangers, kind of like what was it, the one from Dino Thunder is the same thing. Like he all of them had something to learn in that season, right? Like they had to grow in some ways, and Carter, like, you know, he had to learn, and he had to learn the hard way, like, of a lot of stuff. Like he realized that like he can't, like, you know, can't just go at it like headstrong. You got to really think and all this shit. And, you know, then you find out Captain Mitchell was the one who saved him, and that whole revelation right there, which I really wish they gave Captain Mitchell like an outfit or something like that to morph into. I think that would have been great.
That would have been cool.
Like even if it was really just for a short time.
You know, I like the fact that his son becomes Titanium. I mean, Titanium's up there too. I'm gonna throw Titanium in my top 5. Actually, he's definitely up there. I loved the Titanium Ranger, first real non-Sentai Ranger, and I thought they absolutely hit a home run with him.
Yeah,
he was so damn cool.
You know,
I just love the fact that it was like that moment when they both are hanging on the cliff, and it goes back to like Diabolical saving him as a kid, and he finally remembers. And like that's heartbreaking. I was watching, I was like, wow, this is a really deep scene. You know, and I thought the guy who played Captain Mitchell, phenomenal actor. He was so good.
Yeah, I was sad they never brought him back for anything else. Although he did voice a monster, I think, in one of the episodes or something like that.
Yep, I remember that.
A lot of them actually did. What do you call it there? A lot of them actually ended up voicing monsters. Like during Forever, like, or one, like, what was it? The guy who played Zach, Walter Jones, he came back and did monster voices.
Yep, I remember that. He did a few. Who else did some? I know Mike Corbett had Lord Zed's voice at one point for no reason when he was a monster, because he transforms into that guy who like.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, why do you have Lord Zed's laugh? I was like, was this like a nod to the past series? I was like, I know that laugh. I very much so know that laugh.
I love it. All right, then. Well, I guess like we can call it here. So, yeah, dude, tell people where they can find you, and I'll also put it down in the link below.
So my main source of social media will be my Instagram. It's just at Logan Raposo. My last name is spelled Raposo. You can find me on Facebook. I don't really accept friend requests from people I don't know, but I probably will be making a Facebook page at some point. So that'll be a thing as well. But those will be my main 2 to follow me at.
Okay, cool. And obviously you guys know where you can follow me. It'll be up here on the screen, and his name will be up here on the screen probably throughout this whole thing. I'll have to add in a new screen in there and everything. But you can also check it down in the comments below to get direct access to the links that it will be right there. So, dude, again, thank you so much for taking your time out to come talk to me. I greatly appreciate it.
Dude, thank you so much for having me, man. I'd love to have my cat back if you can stop holding him hostage.
Look, listen here. Like, change what Unworthy did and get me as the role, and maybe you'll get the cat back.
You know I can't do that. They literally
I know.
made a post. They
I
can't go
know.
back and just be like, "Oh, we made a mistake."
No, they guys just
It's
said it's like, oh no,
not.
he had to go away to another planet or something. No, just kidding. I'm only joking. No, I'm like I said, honestly I'm not bummed out about it. I'm honestly really happy to see like where this goes and everything. I can't wait to hear the part. But yeah. So again, thank you guys all for listening. Greatly appreciate it. Please thumbs up and subscribe because it is free, and in this day and age, free is a damn good thing. As always, thank you all for watching. My name is One Big Boss, and I will see you all next time.